What's up, everybody? Welcome to I Love You XOXO, episode 16. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the OK Beast, Blessing Adeoye Jr.
We're old enough to drive, Greg.
At 16? Yeah, I don't know if it's
At
weeks,
16.
Bless. I don't know if it's weeks. You know what I mean?
If it's
takes
weeks,
more than that.
16. Well, I mean, podcasts in podcast weeks.
In podcast years.
You know
what I mean?
Yeah.
16 episodes. Nobody's quit the show. We're doing pretty well.
Yeah,
that's what it's all about here in podcast stuff. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, Kev?
Yep.
Thanks, Kevin. Good to see you over there.
Kevin.
Here's what we need to put on the table right away, everybody. All right. Since 5 minutes ago, I have been fighting a sneeze, and I think I've won.
Oh, no.
But just as the intro rolled, I was like, wait a second, how do I feel? I don't know. So it's still trying to fight back. You never know what's going to happen. I'm terrified.
Do you want to just let it out now?
No, because he's
is it one of the ones that you can force out? No, not working.
I can't bring my camera up. You never force out a sneeze. That's how you can pop a blood vessel. You can shit your pants. There's a combination of things that can happen.
If you get a tickle in your nose, you can activate it.
Because I usually stop.
Always fight it. Always fight it. You look into the sun. You look into the sun.
But you don't want to fight it.
Behind me. The sun's behind me.
You don't want to fight it because you want to get them germs out.
Is that true, Kevin?
I don't know. Kevin is get a napkin and blow your nose. You're just trying to.
I don't know if that was.
You want to clean your sinuses. It's all getting mucky.
That's what my parents always told me growing up. Is that I should sneeze so I can get the germ, get that bad bacteria out. I don't know if that's a parent thing that they just tell you and that's not true. But I feel like sneezing might be healthy for you. I don't know.
I mean, that's why. Yeah, I mean, it's healthy for you. I think it expunges things, right? But what Kevin's saying is don't force the sneeze. I can't.
But why not?
If I'm gonna make myself sneeze, I've never heard of that though, Kev. I've never heard of forcing a sneeze. I've heard of holding back the sneeze and then you blow a blood vessel. You have a heart attack. Come too early.
Yeah.
Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I Love You XOXO. It's your weekly dose of PlayStation goodness. We come to you. We talk about PlayStation. You seem to enjoy it. If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindafunnygames. You can toss us a few bucks. You can watch us record the show live. You can get the show ad-free. You can participate in the show, of course, with your questions, comments, concerns, and PlayStation trophy. Look-see? I don't know. I don't really know what I want to call it.
Chill.
Trophies and chill. Yeah, we started calling it that the other day. We did do that. However, if you have no bucks to toss you get the post show too. Don't forget about the post show, patreon.com/kindafunnygames. No bucks to toss our way. It's no big deal. You can go over youtube.com/kindafunnygames. Podcast services around the globe each and every Tuesday morning. Get it there. No matter where you get it. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for letting us be part of your life. Today, we're going to talk about the PS5's reveal plan, play at home, and so much more. But first, let's thank these Patreon producers. Mohammed, aka Momo, James Hastings, Evan Ballard, Steven Insler, Sancho West Gaming, Duval King Jabub, Cody Banks, the Secret Agent, Trent Barry, Max Blair, Julian, the Gluten-Free Gamer, Tom Bach, Nano Support, Michael Bradley, and Joseph O. Youssef. Today we're brought to you by Mint Mobile and ExpressVPN, but I'll tell you about that later. For now, Blessing, hit me with this week's X's and O's.
Gregory. Can I call you Gregory?
Sure. Can I call you Blessy?
Blessy.
Just Blessy.
Last week, Bloomberg did what Bloomberg does, and they did some reporting.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, they did that too. But before they did that, this week they got Jason Schreier. Last week they did some reporting, which means Kevin, it's time for PS5 Watch.
Just perfection on that, Kevin. Just perfection on that,
Kevin. Graphic. Kevin was ready. Everything worked well. It's a miracle for PS Love You. This is what we currently know about the PS5's production. Takashi, Mochizuki, and Yuki Furukawa wrote this report last week at Bloomberg. And what I've done is I've condensed it down to bullet points because I don't want to go through the whole article because there's a lot.
Because I'm a dum-dum. I need to get it right. Get me right to it. You know what I mean?
Yes. I'm getting you right to the information. So here's the article broken down as I've broken it down here. Sony plans to produce far fewer units of the PS5 in its first year than it had the previous generation consoles launched as the PS4, according to people familiar with the matter. Sony expects the PS5's ambitious specs to weigh on demand leading to a high price at launch. The global COVID-19 pandemic has affected Sony's promotional plans for the new device, but not its production capacity. The company may forego hosting a public press conference for its PS5 release date and price unveiling due to infection fears. Recently, it was forced to reveal its DualSense PS5 controller in a hurried fashion, according to people informed on the matter. The company has told assembly partners it would make 5 to 6 million units of the PS5 in the fiscal year ending March 2021. When Sony released the PS4 in November 2013, it sold 7.5 million units in its first 2 quarters. Game developers who've been creating titles for the next PlayStation anticipate its price to be in the region of $499 to $549. Component costs could push up the price required for Sony to break even. Sony has struggled with its price setting decision for the PS5 because of scarce components. Sony has asked employees to work from home to mitigate the spread of the virus, and its board has been unable to meet to approve business plans for the current fiscal year, including those for the PlayStation unit. That meeting was originally supposed to take place in March.
And it's April.
It's April. Sony remains unlikely to delay the launch of the PS5 from the critical year-end shopping season, so long as arch rival Microsoft doesn't push back the release of its next generation Xbox, also expected at the end of the year. Sony won't delay either. Greg, that's a lot of information there. I want to boil that down. It's all so good. Actually, because I have 2 questions here that I want to boil this conversation down to.
Yeah, let's blow this question wide open.
Oh, yeah, let's blow this thing right open. The first question I want to ask you, Greg, with fewer units being manufactured and next gen seeing less hardware sales at launch, what does that mean for the start/future of the generation?
That's a great question, Bless.
Yeah.
You want to tackle them one? You want to tackle these questions one at a time here? Just start with this one. Get into it. I'm down.
Let's start with this one. Yeah.
So, what does it mean to be a play? No, I'm kidding.
I was like, oh, we're getting really philosophical here.
It's both good and bad. And I find it so fascinating, right? Like this article, first off, I mean, hats off to Bloomberg, right? Of finally getting answers. And granted, is this all accurate? Is it not? Who knows? I mean, you know what I mean? I'm not saying they're lying. I'm saying like it's anonymous sources. This isn't an official channel of information.
But I want to also shout out Bloomberg because they've been doing a good job, not only like with this report, but they've had previous reports of similar things, right? They've been the ones who have been reporting about the state of PlayStation with all this, about like, I forget exactly what their previous report was, but they had a report similar to this that was talking about the details of the production. Like some of the details in here are even like piggybacking off of what they originally reported. I want to say like a month ago. They've been doing a good job actually getting us a lot of the details of what Sony's been up to.
And that's the thing of, and I know we're about to get into all of this, but how many times we've sat here on this show and had conversations that I think point to this stuff, right? Of this is gonna forego doing a public press conference, which we've been talking about forever. Would that still happen? What was that originally going to be the plan? Was it going to be something else? Who knows? It looks like it was originally going to be a public press conference. I digress. I think this is fascinating because it's in plain text saying it's not the coronavirus, it is not the pandemic that is making fewer units of the PlayStation 5, right? It is the cost of the internals to it. And so to have only 5 to 6 million PS5s out by the fiscal year ending March 2021, right? And again, to compare that to the 7.5 PlayStation 4 sold in its first 2 quarters is a really good move and stroke of luck, I think, for where we're at. I think we talked about it last week, right? Of as much as we love video games and as much as they're helping us all get through this pandemic and shelter in place and all that jazz, they are back to this, man. Frivolous isn't what I mean, but luxury good. That's still not it, but that's what I'm gonna go with. A luxury good. They aren't, an essential item by any stretch of the imagination. And I do think that when you are a manufacturer of a good, supply and demand is always the name of the game, and you want to be able to put out enough supply to satiate the demand, but also leave them wanting more and have them be headlines. And you always want it to be that, no matter what it is. Even when we put up a T-shirt, right? We put up a T-shirt on kindoffunny.com/store. We want it to sell out. And it sucks that then people come in 3 hours after it's sold out, don't get it. But it does say, hey, there's a demand here. We need to make more. We have an audience. This is cool. And it's something cool for us to say, to especially people who got it. Like, you got a limited thing. You got this cool thing that nobody else can get. You want to sell out on this. And I think coming off of this pandemic and hopefully coming off of it, probably still being in it when this all happens in the holiday, There's going to be so many different factors economically in this of how long have people been out of work? How long have we been forced to shelter in place? How are people ready to go spend their money on luxury items again? Things that aren't essential, non-essential items to this degree, right? To talk about a PlayStation 5 that's going to be $500 to $550. Like that for a lot of people already is a big pill to swallow, let alone remembering how hard it was to make rent, let alone how hard it was to get groceries, let alone whatever your situation is at the time. And so I think having a limited number of PS5s out there makes it easier for them to sell out of PS5s, makes it easier to get that headline on USA Today that this is a huge success and drive up demand for it. Because with any console launch, for the most part, and I think we being one of the ones that move the fastest, but with any console launch, the idea is that early adopters are the ones, just like you and me, Bless, just like you, person listening or watching this right now, who are going to buy it pretty much regardless. And then they bring it home and they show it to their friends and their family. And then they go, oh, that is really cool. Maybe I will pick it up when it gets cheaper, when it's the new year, when it's, whatever caveat normal people put on these kind of purchases that we don't, where we are like, well, Portillo won't eat this week and we're getting a PlayStation 5, right? Like, having that have a smaller amount out there, having it be able to get snapped up actually works for it. Whereas if it was, let's say it was 7.5 million out there again, and I'm not saying that's an impossible number to sell, but in this economy, is it?
I mean, 7.5 million being sold for the PS4, like I think it's logical and like an easy jump to say that the PS5 is not going to sell as much as the PS4 did during its launch period, right? With all the factors you just mentioned, the console being more expensive by itself, is going to have a way on demand, as they mentioned in the article. But then also, COVID-19, people being more more cautious, especially with how they spend their disposable income, right? I think that's going to play a factor.
That was it. God damn it.
Yeah. But then, like, also with this generation, this is something that's come up before, but this generation being, I feel like, less of a hard cut than previous generations have in terms of games and software coming out. Like, Rainbow Six Siege is a big one that we've been talking about over the last few months when it comes to smart delivery and a game being cross-generation and how cross-generation play looks, right? Like, I think Rainbow Six Siege is going to come out and be a big early Xbox Series X PS5 game, right? Like, that game is going to come out there. I don't know if they're going to have like a round of marketing or whatever it may be, but that's going to be one of the leading titles to come out of the next launch window, along with like other games that are going to be cross-gen, right? Cyberpunk is going to be one of those. You imagine, I'm still of the mind that Ghost of Tsushima and Last of Us 2, and I guess at this point we don't even like Last of Us 2 might even be a launch title, who knows? But whether or not Last of Us 2 is
less guaranteed,
whether or not it is or isn't a launch title, whether or not it comes out on PS4 first, that is still going to be in the marketing for PS5,
of course,
right? That is still going to be in the commercials. That is still going to be
plays best here.
Plays best here, whatever the wording may be. That said, those games are all going to still be on PS4. Avengers, Marvel's Avengers, which is going to be the next like big games as a service game, is still going to be on PS4. Overwatch 2, like that's a game we don't know the exact date or window for that game yet, but that's going to be on PS4. A lot of the early games this next generation are going to be cross-gen in a way that I feel like is going to sell people less on needing to buy the next generation console than ever before, right? I'm sure there will be like a launch lineup for PS5 that will be exclusively for the console, right? I imagine, and I mean, who knows, right? We got to wait for the big PS5 reveal, but say Horizon Zero Dawn,
the not public press conference that it was supposed to be.
Yeah, the likely state of play, but who knows if it's gonna be a state of play because PlayStation is kind of weird with how they've been branding things state of play or not. Horizon Zero Dawn 2 could end up on PS4 also. That wouldn't surprise me, right? And
that would surprise me.
You give me you'd be surprised.
I'd be super surprised if Horizon Zero Dawn was, because this is not the argument we always make of, well, what's in it for Ubisoft to make a PlayStation 5 game? Clearly they want to be on the place with 106 million units sold, right? But PlayStation, it behooves them to say, no, this is our game that's going to be the game for PlayStation 5.
All right. There was an article I want to say I read recently that was them talking about how, or maybe I'm getting this mixed up with an Xbox article, which actually sounds more likely. But I feel like they said recently that like no, this is definitely an Xbox thing. Yeah, no, I'm thinking of.
I think Halo is important.
I think they said Halo's coming out on both generations. But no, I think that's probably the Xbox thing I'm thinking of.
The one thing we're not taking into consideration here for this launch stuff and talking about 5 to 6 million, and that's great because it was only 7.5 on PS4, right, for the first 2 quarters, is the fact that PlayStation's in a way different place than they were when they launched the PlayStation 4, right? The PlayStation 4 wasn't mea culpa. It was an admission of everything that was wrong and fixing it. And that spoke again to us and, hardcore gamers and people who are listening to podcasts like this. And we bought it at launch and we were super excited. But again, as we've gone back and forth so much, looking at history here, right? For our launch titles that we were excited for were Lego and a new Assassin's Creed. Like, it wasn't like it had a killer launch lineup. I think that it's important to a few months ago, I'm sure, late last year, early before we knew how bad COVID was going to be or even what it was, you figure, I wonder if this, hey, we're only going to be able to make 5 to 6 million, right? Because of components and pricing and all that jazz. If that was them going and wringing their hands and be like, oh, fuck, man, like, come on, like, we have this 106 million units juggernaut PlayStation 4 already that people are so into, like, the conversion on that should be higher, they think, or I wonder if they did think that, then it would have been on PS3 to PS4 or Xbox 360 to PS4 owners, right? People who went out and bought it at launch. But I also think you could probably extrapolate from like PlayStation 4 Pro numbers, while different, and I'm not saying it all the same thing, how many people are going to be ready to upgrade on day one kind of thing.
Yeah, like I think there are quite a few factors, not even quite a few. I think there are a lot of factors that would lead for PS5 to sell less than the PS4 did. I mean, literally they can't sell more than the PS4 did because they're manufacturing less units. But I think the reasons for why they're manufacturing less units makes sense. And this isn't a thing that I think is worth, like, I don't, not to say that anybody's freaking out or anything, but I don't think this is a thing that should cause worry by any means. I think this is like the one, like, the rational leap given the price of the PS5 being higher. But then also, I think it works to their favor in what you said, right? With COVID being a case, in kind of the state of the world right now, this is only going to play to their favor.
Yeah.
And so the second question I want to ask, Greg, is this: what do we think the road to the PS5 looks like, given all this information? Right? We have less units. We have the DualSense controller being revealed in the PS blog,
which again is awesome, right? That was another hypothesis we had of, like, they say in this thing that it's shipping to developers. That's got to be why they're doing this, right? And sure as shit, in the Bloomberg article they're talking about, they were worried about it leaking. Yeah.
How do you think Sony not reacts? I guess how do you think Sony reacts to this in their lead up to PS5? It seems like they're not doing a physical event, according to this report.
Well, it seems like they're not doing a public event. That's still there's still a million questions here, right? But the company may forego hosting a public press conference. So I think, again, what I had been saying leading into this year, that it was going to be come May, we don't need E3. We're going to do something in May. It'll be invite all the journalists, invite all people together to come to this room to see this thing, to play the games in the next room or whatever, and have a big reveal about it. And so then you have to sit there and go, okay, as everything's changed and they've thrown that idea out, obviously, right? As we're probably, I mean, if we jump ahead one. So are we sitting here with a straight face blessing and saying 1 month from now? Because 1 month from now, we would either know the date, if it's happening in May, or it's happened in May already. That's the big question. And so that's what's so fucking weird, is that on all the Gamescast stuff, I had been saying that once they said fuck E3, that I was like, they're still going to go. They're going to go before E3. And I thought that meant they would go in May. And I was saying Judges Week, which is now gone too, from at least what I know.
Yeah.
And I mean, so, sorry, go ahead.
When you say going in May, right, are you still referring to them flying out press?
No. Now, okay. That's what I was talking. I was talking about my Gamescast predictions. And so to pull back from that of like, it happening in May and being in a big event. It's not a big event, obviously, anymore. You're not going to be able to fly people anywhere and do anything with it. Not to mention that, like, even let's say that, May 4th, it's business as usual again in the United States. Everybody's like, cool, no worries, which they won't, but cool, no worries. Let's just keep going. I think you would see so many games journalists and press people like, I'm not getting on a fucking plane. Sorry, I'm not doing this at all. I'm not going to go be a part of this. However, I still think PlayStation pulls the trigger there, right? Because, I mean, like, think about the domino effect of this is that PlayStation has to well, first off, as this Bloomberg article said, and I don't know if it was in your bullet points, it talked about it going into production in June, right? The PlayStation 5s that would actually start getting produced in June.
Yes.
So we are literally apples to apples talking again about the DualSense. Whereas just like when I was at IGN back in the day and the fucking video of the PS3 Slim surfaced, right? As soon as this shit gets into not even the public's hands, anyone outside of Sony's hands, right? Anybody outside of the rooms who are sitting there and designing the goddamn thing. Once it's on a production line of like, this is what the PlayStation 5 is going to look like, those images and those videos will leak online. So you are now racing that. So if it's going into production in June, we have to know before it ever hits the assembly line what this thing looks like. And so on top of that, you figure, even though the world's a different, I'm looking at a Google Calendar, by the way. I also, I removed my laptop from my setup these days at the desk.
Oh.
I had a laptop here so I could type easier, but I was still using stuff. And so I'm just using one set of computers here, which is interesting. That's why I keep looking off to the side. I know it was driving you all crazy, especially you audio listeners. All right, so we had a quick cut there, OBS crash, but I think we're back and we're stitching.
We're back.
So the question here is still, what is my, your question basically was, when do I think this is? And I said, there's a lot of dominoes in play here, right? Mm-hmm. So again, if they're going to production in June, they have to reveal it before June. So people know that. Even beyond that, I know the conversation keeps coming up of, I keep talking about E3 week and so many people are like, well, and this is people, friends, family, viewers and peers who are like, well, do you stay with E3 week for any kind of thing? Not even just video games in general. And I'm like, well, of course you do the eyes, but then also for something as complex as the launch of a new console, you need the messaging out there. You need to start getting mainstream press. You need to start telling retailers. You need to have retailers. It's the same thing of every other leak we've ever seen through a GameStop or a Walmart, where they're going to want to put those things up in their window saying, hey, come pre-order the PlayStation 5 here.
Yeah.
So if you're going for a holiday thing, which we would assume is October, November, probably November, you figure revealing it in May and then actually spinning up the coverage. And then even beyond this, I know we keep getting so hung up on the hardware. Think about how many games are exclusive, right? Did we crash again, Kev?
No, he just said beyond.
Oh, okay. Think about how many, Kevin, I can't see the confidence monitor, so that's why I thought we crashed, just so you know. Think about how many games are going to be exclusive or have deals or some kind of content lock with PlayStation 5 that can't talk about being PlayStation 5 games yet. And so think about that, where you're a developer and you want to talk about your game and you want to promote your game and you want to get out in the normal E3 scrum, right? But you can't even do that right now because there's nothing. So it has to be May, or it has to be E3 week of June. But again, PlayStation, I don't think that PlayStation was like, we're not doing E3, you'll still hear from us, and then is going to say, well, E3's dead, so we're going to do E3 week. I still think it's May. I don't know what it looks like, as we've gone back and forth on. I definitely don't think there's the Mystery Science Theater 3000 silhouettes.
No,
like Sony's speech.
I hope not.
But I also don't think it works. I also don't think you want it to be so impersonal that it is just the state of play lady talking about it. But then again, this is what we go back and forth on. Is like, I also don't think Jim Ryan's the guy to come out there and carry it.
Yeah, my thing is, like, I would love for them to turn state of play into that. Like, I think state of play as it works right now is fine, right? Because and part of that is I think they've nailed it in terms of pacing, right? Hey, just give me trailer after trailer after trailer. Just bundle it as like as a stream with a bunch of announcements. I'm gonna be into it, but I think it can still be much more, right? I think you can infuse it with personality. I think you can grant a sort of importance to it by linking it to a console reveal, and you lift the state of play brand up as a thing that people should expect and look forward to and be excited about. That said, I don't know if that's the way that they're thinking of state of play. I feel like what state of play is kind of what they're fine with it being. Which then which begs the question of, all right, then what does a PlayStation PS5 reveal stream look like? And I imagine at this point it's just its own thing, kind of like the Mark Cerny thing, but not necessarily with the silhouettes in the background and him on stage and all that stuff. I think it would, at least I would hope it's not like somebody on an empty stage, like presenting to a fake audience, right? I would hope that it is like a stream that is more along the lines of the Google Stadia Connect, the way they did that reveal. Yeah. Which also begs the question, we talked about this before, like, who are the personalities that you put in that video? Who are the voices that you hear? And I mean, I think it has to be a mixture of Sid Schumann and Herman Holst and
Herman's
Shuhei in
great.
there.
Yeah.
And then I think I know Jim Ryan isn't really like a front facing figure for PlayStation, but I feel like they got to make him that at least for this year or this PS5 reveal, because somebody has to do it. And I feel like you could do. I don't know if Herman Holst is like the person they want to put in that position, because that's not really his job.
Right. Yeah, he's Worldwide Studios, right? Head of Worldwide Studios. Yeah. So it's weird to have him do that. But in terms of engaging, because you figure you want somebody who's engaging, who's charming, who's done it before, right? And like Herman obviously has been in front of the Killzone and Horizon audience forever, and like in audience, I mean those games, he's been the spokesperson for them, so he's used to going on the press tours and talking to everybody there. And I'm not saying Jim Ryan's not, but Jim Ryan is still just, no offense to Jim Ryan, such a suit. He's such a suit, you know what I mean? And he's not a fun suit like Jackie T out there, right? Busting balls or whatever and tossing microphones. So I don't know. Also, here's something else we haven't talked about, Bless, on this show. And correct me if I'm wrong. Do you think State of Play is dead?
That's a really good question, actually.
No State of Play this year. I'm looking at the State of Play. We haven't
gotten a State of Play since September?
December 10th, 2019.
Was there one in this? Oh, before Game Awards.
Yeah, I'm here.
Or
I'm here.
Around Game Awards.
Around Game Awards. I'm on the State of Play page on the PlayStation thing, right? And it's
because it was the Ghost of Tsushima one.
December 10th, September 25th, May 9th, and March 25th. So if you're right now, we're already between where the first two State of Plays were, being in April. But then frequently asked questions, when is the next State of Play? State of Play broadcasts are scheduled to take place throughout the year. Stay tuned to the PlayStation blog and PlayStation on Twitter for news of when the next live stream is scheduled. So throughout the year, now granted, I mean, that's ambiguous, but it also implies that were they just planning for 2019? Were they ever going to do one before then? I know they were trying it out and it was weird or whatever because it's different, but
yeah,
interesting.
And I mean, they didn't really have any other presence last year. You know, if you think about it, right? Like 2018 and 2018 were the years of PlayStation kind of being incognito, right? Like being like stepping away from the spotlight, not having E3 press conferences. You know, I saw a thread go up on like, I think it was Reset Era or something, but I saw it tweeted on Twitter, and it was somebody asking the question like, or somebody pointing out that PlayStation hasn't revealed a new game since like either it's 2017 or 2018, I forget the exact year, but it's been years since PlayStation's revealed a big new game.
Sure.
And like not like something along, and I don't know when Concrete Genie was originally revealed. I think that was like 2017, 2018 ish. But if we're talking a big game like Ghost of Tsushima or something along those lines.
I mean, right? even if I was playing devil's advocate here, like, and I'm looking at the State of Play, so I'm cheating, but like what in 2019, Iron Man VR.
Yeah, Iron Man VR would be the only one.
Don't get me wrong, I can't wait for Iron Man VR. Can't fucking wait for Predator this weekend. But that's not on the caliber of The Last of Us. That's not Ghost of Tsushima.
And so like I could see the case for them being like, hey, State of Play is just going to take the place of that presence for 2019, and in 2020, once we start ramping up the PS5, then we abandon it.
Well, they must have thought, right, that maybe State of Play, maybe that was the pitch for State of Play, was it was going to be, we're taking a year off of E3. We want to have our own thing. We want to own them like Nintendo Directs, because they are, no offense to everybody, smaller announcements. They're smaller things we're doing here. And then 2020, of course, will be PlayStation 5 year. So we'll have a big press conference. We'll have a big, like, we're going to go to Gamescom. We're going to do whatever. We're going to have these, tentpole events that will be back to more of a live thing, even though we won't be live at E3. But then, of course, this pandemic fucks that all up.
The question would be then, and we're totally like going on a slope. And
ladies and gentlemen, this is what PS I Love You is all about. All right, you tune in just to hear us fucking ramble about PlayStation. You don't like it, turn it off and flip over your car.
But I think the next question would be, do they need State of Play? And in a year without COVID, I think that would be more like, I think that'd be a more valid question, right? If COVID wasn't a factor and they could do their in-person presentations and could have a stage presence and could do all this stuff, like, maybe they could bring in, this is the thing I doubt, but bring back PSX or something like that, right? Like, is State of Play something as needed from PlayStation? I think now that COVID is a factor and people can't show up to your events, and you need to figure out marketing for your big games somehow in a way that's smart and in a way that's tight. I think you continue to do State of Play, like, even if your plan was to sunset it after 2019.
Oh yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is, though, even if your plan was to sunset it and you were done with State of Play, right? Okay, now this happens. You can't do your regular PlayStation event. I think you just take all the learnings of State of Play and you apply them to the PlayStation 5 reveal. And that's the thing of, like, what is so fascinating about this from, the video game playbook / history book of how this year will be looked back on is everything about launching a console and running the most successful console on the market right now, it has to be thrown away, right? Where again, this indefinite delay of The Last of Us, this indefinite delay of Iron Man, paired with we're trying to launch this console, and how do we make that work? And how do we delay 2 of our games because we don't know what the production pipelines and everything else looks like, but at the same time, not delay the console itself of this? And it's fascinating that the Bloomberg article, right, comes up and talks about, right, Sony remains unlikely to delay the launch of the PlayStation 5 from the critical year-end shopping season, so long as arch rival Microsoft doesn't push back the release of its next generation Xbox. Also expected at the end of the year, Sony won't delay either. Like, what a weird game of chicken that is, because that statement there makes it sound to me like if Microsoft came out tomorrow, or if Phil Spencer just rang them up and was like, hey, and I know this is crazy, but hey, like, this year's fucked, right? Like, why? Let's not do this. Let's not try to force this. Like, I think that's obviously, I don't understand investors and insider trading and business and all that shit. That probably can't legally happen, but it seems to that point of it's such a weird quagmire to be in of how you do any of this and make it make sense of not understanding. Sure, I understand The Last of Us, moves around because it would have been a month from now ish, right? And so same with Iron Man, it would have been already, you know what I mean? We're talking about May. We're talking about May, and we're in April, so that makes it different. So it does beg the question that if PlayStation is or was or whatever is going to reveal in May or in June of this, like, do you have to take care of those games before you take care of the PlayStation 5? Do you have to take care of when The Last of Us is shipping and when Iron Man is shipping before you talk about the PlayStation 5? Or did you do the PlayStation 5 event? You're like, we're confident we can get the PlayStation 5 out to everybody and do it, and that's why we're releasing Last of Us on the same day.
Yeah.
I don't know what. You know what I mean? Like, I think the road to, you ask, what do I think the road to PlayStation 5 looks like given this report? Like, it looks as foggy as it looked when we didn't know this stuff confirmed. And now having this stuff confirmed, it does still make me think that the industry is on pause. Like, we have paused the industry. And like, granted, a lot of stuff still happens. There's a lot of games still coming out. I'm not saying that. But like, for these big decisions, for these big games, we are just sitting here like, all right, what do we do?
And it very much seems like, PlayStation doesn't even really know the road right now. Right. They're in the process of figuring that out.
When we talked about that, about, The Last of Us and Iron Man delays, or when they initially happened on the special episode, right? Of like, what's so shocking here is it's literally them going, we don't know. It's the adults in the room saying, we don't know what happens next, and we don't know what to do exactly. And that's so crazy.
Yeah. Jamie S writes in to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. That's the question, Greg. Jamie S writes, hello, Greg and Blessing. Last week's Bloomberg report stated that the PS5 is likely to sell between $499 and $549 at launch, and that Sony, expecting this high price point to limit demand, is reducing the number of units manufactured. If PS5 launches with a reduced number of units and a $549 price point this fall, can it still be successful for Sony? Given the state of the economy and possibility that new software may also be limited, the whole thing is seeming like a very uphill battle.
Yes, it can still be successful. I think, of course, we're talking about this being a marathon and not a sprint. And I'm probably, I feel like I go back and forth all the time on either being too alarmist or too nonchalant about everything. Because it does... I talk about all the time, like, oh man, the world's changed and it's going to continue to be changed, like in a 9/11 kind of way. But I wonder, and then I think about like the PlayStation 5's life cycle, and it's 10-year plan, it's 7-year life cycle, whatever you want to call it. Well, clearly we'll get back to it, and everybody's going to want to play video games, and they're going to buy the system, right? I don't know for sure, but I think that. Now, if you're talking about just at launch, I think it's back to how we talked about at the top of the show, right? I think it plays in their favor having fewer units out there at a more expensive price point. Because again, I'm not saying it's a slam dunk to sell 5,000 or 5,000. Probably pretty easy actually. 5 million, right, at $550. But I also don't think that's impossible. I don't think that's crazy. I think that there's this, not haves and have nots, I don't think, but there is this, hey, I'm stuck at home and I still have disposable income and I am still able to work. And so clearly, yes, I want the best looking game on the best looking TV with the fastest load times for as much as gaming means to me versus hey, I haven't been able to work my normal amount of hours or at all. I'm on unemployment. I can't pay for a brand new console. And I think that's again the, equation that comes in of how many consoles is the right amount of consoles to have out there, let alone we're talking about a worldwide thing here. So start spreading, 5 to 6 million out amongst, all the different countries that you're shipping in. If you are shipping, it's a global release, or if they're going back to territories and it is going to be US, UK, and Japan, or North America, UK, and Japan, something like that. I think as you start really splitting it up, you're going to see them move those limited compared to PS4 units quickly. And so to the question, if PS5 launches with a reduced number of units and a $550 price point this fall, can it still be successful? It can. I think even if it's that limited use, they're going to get bought up, right? Like, I feel like to what you said earlier, Bless, of this being such a, not incremental, right? But, they keep talking about revolution versus evolution thing, but having it be a doubling down on what PlayStation 4 is and why we like PlayStation 4. And like, this is the even better souped up, does a bunch of crazy shit models. That messaging works so much better than the PS2 to PS3 switch in the $599 that fuck the PS3, right? Like, I feel like, again, you're in such a different point of view of Cerny's presentation was scientific of why this is better. This is a better machine than the last machine. And if you want to, and it's, right now, at least for the most part, right, not a gun to your head moment. And even if it does come out at $550 and the only true exclusive on it is Horizon Zero Dawn 2, like, it's that, okay, cool, I have a PlayStation 4 now and I don't feel pissed off that you've done this. I still want to get to that. I want to get that one day. Maybe I'll wait for the next game. Maybe I'll wait for the whatever. But if you drop it with a limited number of units, $550, and you're like, it comes out the same day as the fucking Last of Us 2, and Last of Us 2 runs and looks better, I think that's a pretty much a no-brainer for a lot of people who are trapped inside their houses and want the best.
Rafael Costa writes in and says, my question is this. With last week's rumors that PS5 will have less units available at launch, do you think Sony will release worldwide or only in certain countries? And this is something you touched on a little bit there. I live in Portugal, and in the PS4 and Xbox One launch, we only received the Xbox One 1 year after launch. So hopefully we don't see this happening with PlayStation 5 later this year.
Again, I'm an idiot, as everybody knows. I would say as you start limiting those units, though, as you see them go below that, I would say you're probably going to see a staggered launch where I don't think it'll be worldwide. Everybody's getting units day one. But again, I'm a stupid moron. So I don't know at what point you say, well, there's this many units, which means it can go everywhere. But I think as you start trying to worry about not only, again, and I hate that it always comes back, but again, this is what we're talking about in this year and this kind of long division, right? Of it's not only getting it to the countries that can buy it, it's then also literally getting it to the countries and the consumers. And I think as you go back to watching Square Enix ship Final Fantasy VII Remake to Australia and UK early, I think as you look at PlayStation again saying Last of Us and Iron Man pipeline isn't working in the way we need it to get it here. Like, granted, there's a whole bunch of different pieces to that, but I think there is a big piece of, cool, we need to make sure we can move these units to the people they need to be moved to, and what's happening in that country, and what is, the COVID response, like what is the economic ramification of that? Like, our, $550 US is whatever it is in Canada is whatever it is. Like, you start getting into how much, and this is where we're way out of my element, how much more exorbitant that price point is for other countries.
Yeah, I'm of the mind that both console manufacturers, being Sony and Microsoft, are going to do everything within their effort to make sure it's not staggered, but at a certain point it's probably out of their hands. Like, there are quotes from both Phil Spencer, and I'm looking at not a quote, but there's a statement in this Bloomberg article that reads, PlayStation chief Jim Ryan has stressed that the machine's launch should be simultaneous around the globe, according to people in the company's supply chain, right? Like, it seems like it's very much like a priority for both companies to make sure that the launch isn't staggered. I know in this Phil Spencer quote, I read it a few weeks ago on KFGD. He was saying something along the lines of, like, we've seen what happens when we launch later in Japan, right? And we lose that ground, we lose that audience. And I think both companies are very aware that they don't want that to happen. But, like, at a certain point, things are likely to get, or not likely, but things can very easily get out of their hands. And
and it gets sticky. You have to see what it is, and like it is that reading pre-orders and stuff, and all stores. Again, a manner of business that I'm just not equipped to talk about. But at this year and how crazy 2020 has been, 4 months in, I don't put anything past anything.
Greg,
yeah,
are you ready to move on to item number 2?
Blessing, I'm ready to go wherever you want to go, as long as it's Predator hunting grounds, because I want to play some Predator.
When is that? When do we get access to that?
Friday, baby.
Friday? We playing? We getting in there?
Yeah, we're playing.
Okay, I'm ready.
Here's the thing. I'll tell you here. I'll show you how the sausages get made, ladies and gentlemen. We have on the books to do a first impression stream Friday afternoon. You can come on. You can come be on that if you want. But
I'm down.
Here's the thing, everybody, is that, and I love them to death. Don't get me wrong. We saw Predator struggle a bit when it was launching its beta, and it's Ilphonic who made Friday the 13th. I learned a long time ago not to bet on the servers actually working on launch day. So we'll see what we can actually do Friday afternoon, but I'm down to try, buddy.
I'll be there.
Good.
Greg, what can we expect from PlayStation's Play at Home initiative? They announced this last week. It's essentially their response to the whole COVID pandemic. I'm pulling from a PlayStation blog post from Jim Ryan, the president and CEO of Sony Interactive Entertainment. It reads, as a thank you to all who are doing their part to lessen the impact of this pandemic, Sony Interactive Entertainment is pleased to announce the Play at Home initiative. Play at Home has 2 components. First, providing free games to help keep the PlayStation community entertained at home. And finally, establishing a fund to help smaller independent game studios who may be experiencing financial difficulties continuing building great experiences for all gamers. So to support Play at Home, PlayStation will try to make those occasionally dull moments more exciting by offering Uncharted, the Nathan Drake Collection, and Journey available for free for a limited time through digital downloads from April 15th through May 5th, 2020. Once you redeem the games, they are yours to keep. Regarding creative funding, independent developers are vital to the heart and soul of the gaming community, and we understand the hardships and financial struggles that many smaller gaming studios are facing. With that, SIE has developed a fund to support them during this time. We have earmarked $10 million to support our independent development partners. More information about the fund, including participation criteria, will be made available soon. Greg, that's all good news.
Of course. I'm sorry for everybody in Germany and China, though. I don't know if you saw that asterisk. Did you ever see this?
Oh, yeah.
In Germany and China, users will have access to NAC 2 in Journey for a limited time. Sorry, guys. Thoughts and prayers. NAC 2. Fuck me.
I mean, NAC 2, I've heard decent things. I've never played NAC.
Because you're talking to 4-year-olds, all right?
I mean, yeah, 4-year-olds often have great taste in games. I was playing Mario 64 at 4 years old.
Here comes in.
Yeah, I was playing some DK64. It's great. I got a question here from Charles Jacobson, and I really like it. Charles Jacobson writes in to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, just like you can, and says, greetings, Greg, and Blessing. I thought it might be fun to have a thought exercise with PlayStation's Play at Home initiative, and have you two try to predict/make the list if we pretend for a second it'll last 3 months or more. And then Charles has set up rules here. I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't feeling the rules when I read through them.
Okay.
It's a lot of because this is what Charles did, right? Charles made criteria based on the games that we've seen available since it's NAC 2, Uncharted, the Nathan Drake Collection, and Journey, right? He made the rules that the games had to be on PS Plus or in PlayStation Published and all this stuff. Greg, I want to scrap all that. I just want to ask, or I just want to discuss me and you.
Mm-hmm. Just you and me.
Just you and me.
Just us here hanging out.
There are 3 more. Let's say there are 3 more waves, right? That's not confirmed. That's not a thing.
3 more waves. Okay.
Yeah, but let's say, we live in a world where there are going to be 3 more waves of PlayStation games provided by PlayStation for free, with the Play at Home initiative. What games do we think they should, or they should or they will make available for the Play at Home?
Make up your goddamn mind. What are you saying?
Yeah. What games do we see PlayStation making available?
And you're extrapolating from, you don't want to, because I like the fact I like Charles's criteria here, right? Because he puts in things that guide you to how they got maybe to Uncharted and how they got to this, right? Journey. So I think on that you have to look for a bigger AAA game, right, and a smaller but distinctly PlayStation game, right? And so I'm gonna go off of Charles's list just of games. You don't have to worry. You do whatever you want. And the combo that jumps out to me the fastest would be, and this is just based on the list I'm scrolling by here, right? Would be probably Little Big Planet 3 and Resogun. Maybe even Jack and Daxter Collection in Resogun. I think that, on Charles's list here of things that apply the same way, because his qualifiers were that they were on PlayStation Plus on PS3 and or PS4, PlayStation published and on PS3 and PS4. They can be ports They can be enhanced ports remastered, blah, blah.
Yes, and he has like a list of qualifying games.
But he's got things on here that I find interesting, like Dead Nation, God of War 3 remastered, Heavy Rain Beyond Two Souls. Those are good games, obviously. Don't get me wrong. I love those games, but they're too mature. Right? Like I think Heavy Rain's got a sex scene and you're not gonna put that out. God of War is so bloody and terrifying, gruesome. Dead Nation's fighting a bunch of zombies, and Dead Nation, I can't remember if it's mature or if it's teen, but I still feel like it's too on the nose violent. You know what I mean? In a way, whereas like Uncharted, Nathan Drake Collection, while rated T for teen, is a game that is fun and a movie and that showpiece. Journey is that, hey, you can go run through this and explore and have this great thing. And I feel like you need that kind of thing because you're thinking about both the gamers and young kids who can't go to school, right? So you're looking for games I think that fit that. Where Resogun, of course, an amazing housemarque game, shooter we love very, very much. In Little Big Planet 3 or Jack and Daxter, probably Jack and Daxter, obviously, because then it's similar to Uncharted where you're getting this, and it's also Naughty Dog, but you're getting this collection of games that looks great and is great for all ages, which granted, I know Uncharted isn't, I'm playing fast and loose with that rule on my own head, but like Last of Us Remastered, fuck yeah, Last of Us is awesome. Tim was just asking me the other day if I could get him a code for it. I'm like, no, just buy the damn thing. He's like, oh, it's only $20, sure. That's great, but I mean, I don't think PlayStation wants to do this and then get the rare piece of blowback of like, wow, you did this but my kid loves it, but he's 10. Like, why are you
can't play Heavy Rain?
Huh?
It's 5 years old. My 5-year-old can't play Heavy Rain.
Yeah, he wants neck too. He's moving to China for it.
Yeah, I see the reason why I was so quick to throw out Charles's
rules,
his criteria, his rules here, and maybe actually what I'm thinking actually falls within this list, because there was a game that I thought of that I feel like would be a slam. I'm gonna say slam dunk, but I think it's the game that I could see being on the list before all these other games, and that's Infamous Second Son. And maybe Infamous does fall within this criteria, and he just didn't include it in the list because Infamous Second Son, I think, has been on PS Plus before.
I'll check for you,
but I'm not sure. Yeah, you can check for that. But I feel like Infamous, falls within all those same
you're right
lines you mentioned, right? Like it's family friendly for the most part. You said
Infamous
what now?
Second Son. September 2017, Infamous Second Son was a PlayStation Plus game.
Yeah, and it's. Oh, I think I think his other criteria was it's on PS3 and PS4, which to me was like.
But wait, why? No, it can be it can be because like Uncharted Nathan Drake Collection isn't on PS3.
But I think his argument is that all the games in Uncharted
are there. Okay, fair play.
Yeah.
Fair play.
But yeah, Infamous Second Son, like I think fits all those criteria, right? It's that similar. It's a similar thing to Uncharted, where it is like it's actiony. I think Second Son is probably rated T for teen without looking it up. But it definitely isn't like it's not Last of Us, right? It doesn't have like those mature elements that would make you go like, oh man, no, I can't let my kid play this. Like Infamous Second Son very much fits within that.
Gets on him at one point, Man,
I haven't played that game in a minute. I don't remember that scene. Really? But yeah, like I think
it might be a choice you make. I can't remember if it's permanent.
But also, like it's also an early PS4 game. Like it's a game that I think PlayStation would be down, to give for free. I don't think sales are being driven that crazily for Infamous Second Son right now.
No, 100%. And I saw in Charles's thing he tossed out. You could get crazy and put Ratchet and Clank on there. That's an interesting one as well. Put Ratchet and Clank out there, but then it also got me thinking of like, why not say fuck it and put Spider-Man out? Really? You know what I mean? Hey, it's another fucking month of being locked in. You know what? Fuck yeah. Here's Spider-Man. Here you go.
I mean, I'd be down for it. I think that'd be awesome. I don't think they have though, right? I don't think they have it in them.
They're still making plenty of money off that $20. Or they have a $20 version right now. It's in the greatest hits, or am I making that up?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'll check it out because I'm checking Dead Nation. I'm trying to get you a rating on Dead Nation.
But yeah, like when you look at Journey, Knack 2, Uncharted Nathan Drake Collection, like those are games that are not selling like hotcakes right now.
Sure.
Nathan Drake collection is probably doing fine for being the Nathan Drake collection, right? But like, and like Journey is this Journey, right? It's a timeless classic. But even still, like those aren't flying off shelves, and those are games that I think you can give away and not have it be too much. Yeah, like not take a hit. Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls, I'd also put in that camp. But like you said, like those games are mature, and so like you probably wouldn't want to offer those games. The Unfinished Swan is on his list, and I think that'd be an excellent game.
Unfinished Swan would be great. Yeah, that'd be a great one for sure.
It'd be awesome.
And that's what people need, right? A very heartwarming game.
Yeah, I like that Hohokum is on this list. I haven't thought about Hohokum in a while.
And that's that. And I'm not even trying to talk shit about Hohokum, but it's like that weird. You got to walk that line, right? Of like, we want to give you something that's not the most in demand, but we also don't want to be like, here's a game you don't care about at all.
Yeah.
Here's a game nobody's talking about. You've never heard. I mean, like, at least for this one, you're like, oh, I've heard Uncharted's great. Oh, I've heard Journey's great. It looks like I might have made up. I think you can get Spider-Man New for $40, but I made up the fact that it might have been the greatest hits already.
So outside of this thought experiment that Charles thought up for us, what do you think is the future of Play at Home? Do you think it stops here, or do you think they continue giving us games for free?
I read it as a one-time, not a one-time thing, obviously. I read it as a one-time thing of like, hey, this is a shitty situation. We understand you're all home. Here's 2 games that are free, and here's this $10 million thing we're doing for indies.
Yeah.
I read it as that's what we're doing to try to help fight COVID in the way we can. If it limped on, stay at home or play at home and all the shelter in place.
Shelter and stay.
Yeah.
Or shelter in place.
Shelter and stay. Netflix and chill, shelter and stay. I'm not saying I think it's beyond the realm of possibility for them to come out and be like, hey, we're adding another game to play at home. But I think they hope that this is a one-time thing.
Yeah, the way when I read the blog post, it felt like something that they were framing it as kind of a one-time thing, but I could easily see them doing more waves if this goes on for longer.
Yeah,
that's kind of, it seems like they left that wiggle room in there.
Yeah, they leave it April 15th through the 5th, right? So it's like when we get to May 5th and they all go away, I'm not saying they would do something on that day because you don't.
Yeah,
you can't have people expecting it. You can't have them be like, oh, well, I'm not even going to sign up for PlayStation Plus because I don't need to or something, or I know.
It seemed like I think they very much did not want to formalize in any sort of way, but leave that door open to see like what the future of it might be, depending.
Yep. Now,
great.
What are you gonna say?
I was just gonna say that's it for X's and O's, unless you have something else.
I was gonna say, speaking of the future, let's talk about the future of the show. I can't wait to hear about what you've been playing, Bless. But first, I'll tell you about our sponsors. Remember, you can go to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames to support us, get your name read in the show, submit your questions, get your trophies looked through, get the show live as we record it, get it ad free, so you don't have to hear me tell about our amazing sponsors, but I'm gonna do it anyway. This episode of PS I Love You XOXO is brought to you by Mint Mobile. If you're still using one of the big wireless providers this year, have you asked yourself, what are you paying for? Between expensive retail stores, inflated prices, and hidden fees, you're being taken advantage of because they know you'll pay. Enter Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile provides the same premium network coverage you're used to, but at a fraction of the cost because everything is online. Mint Mobile saves on retail locations and overhead, then passes those savings directly onto you. No joke, ladies and gentlemen. Tim noticed his mom's wireless bill made no sense for her. She's a lovely woman, of course, but wasn't using near the amount of things she was paying for it. So when we got the sponsorship for Mint Mobile, Tim, of course, put her on that, reached out, got it. It's been great for her. She gets exactly what she needs. She isn't paying for too much, and it is working. Mint Mobile makes it easy to cut your wireless bill down to just $15 a month. Every plan comes with unlimited nationwide talk and text. With Mint Mobile, stop paying for unlimited data you'll never use. Choose between plans with 3, 8, or 12 gigabytes of 4G LTE data. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all of your existing contacts. Ditch your old wireless bill and start saving with Mint Mobile. To get a new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped directly to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/PSILoveYou. That's mintmobile.com/PSILoveYou, all one word. Cut your wireless bill down to just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/PSILoveYou. Next sponsor is ExpressVPN. So we all know that ExpressVPN protects your privacy and security online, right? But here's something you might not know. You can also use ExpressVPN to unlock movies and shows that are only available in other countries. Now that many of us are stuck at home, it's only a matter of time until we run out of stuff to watch on Netflix. So that's why a whole bunch of our friends have been using ExpressVPN to binge Doctor Who on UK Netflix. It's simple to do. You fire up ExpressVPN's app, change your location to the UK, refresh Netflix, and that's it. See, ExpressVPN hides your IP address and lets you control where you want sites to think you're located. You can choose from almost 100 different countries. So just think about all the Netflix libraries you can go through now. I talked about this earlier today. ExpressVPN, always been very good to Kind of Funny, of course. We've used them before, Kevin and myself, to use the ExpressVPN app to then protect yourself online, protect your private data, get these secure sessions. Of course, they've pivoted now. Of course, you still get that with your ExpressVPN app or service here. But on top of that, now you get the ability, or at least they're driving home the ability to change your location so that, hey, you can get whatever kind of streaming stuff you want, which is pretty awesome. Stuff like, new Hulu's, BBC, iPlayer, YouTube, you name it. There are hundreds of VPNs out there, but the reason we like using this is that it's ridiculously fast. There's never any buffering or lag, and you can stream in HD no problem. ExpressVPN is also compatible with all your devices, phones, media consoles, smart TVs, and more, so you can watch what you want on your personal device or on the big screen wherever you are. If you visit our special link right now at expressvpn.com/PSILoveYou, you can get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN for free. Support the show, watch what you want, and protect yourself with ExpressVPN at expressvpn.com/PSILoveYou. Bless.
Yes.
Time to talk about what we've been playing. And the first thing I want to start with is something we played together, Fallout 76.
Yeah, we did.
What year is it? You know what I mean? What are we doing over here? So the idea, of course, last week after we finished PS I Love You XOXO and we were doing the post show and we were just talking, is that we need a game to play together, Bless. You know what I mean? Because you refuse to play The Division. I refuse to play any of these weird shooters you like.
The fighting games or the competitive shoot. Call of Duty is not weird. It's one of the most popular games in the world.
I've heard it both ways. I've heard The Division's the most popular game in the world, and you should be playing that. The season pass is great and everything. So then we both somehow stumbled into Fallout 76 was out. Wastelanders update was there. NPCs are there. And we decided to actually play that. So Friday, you and I had a lovely afternoon of playing that. What did you think?
I honestly was shocked by how much I enjoyed elements of it. Like, I'm very I love Fallout.
A ringing endorsement. Put it on the box.
Like I really like Fallout. Like Fallout 3 is one of my favorite games of all time. Fallout 4 I really enjoyed. Fallout 76 I never even tried because one, I was just not looking forward to it given all the things they had said about it, knowing that there was no NPCs, all this different stuff. I was like, this doesn't sound like it's going to be a good game. And then it came out and the reviews were not good. And so I was immediately like, well, I'm not spending $60 on this game that seems like in all ways just isn't for me.
Yeah.
And so jumping into it this last weekend, I was like immediately I was like, okay, this game's kind of chugging on my PlayStation. I have a base PS4. I don't have a PS4 Pro. And immediately I was like, okay, this is kind of framey. I was making my character and I was like, all right, this is an interesting like character creation tool, all this stuff. But immediately as I got out into the open world and I like started talking to my first NPCs, which is like that is the new content, right? Like they added in NPCs for the Wastelanders update. Immediately I was like, oh man, yeah, this is giving me what I like about Fallout, right? Like talking to characters, getting a little bit of their stories, trying to figure out what's going on, right? And they started talking about a treasure and all this stuff, right? Immediately my interest was piqued. Ended up joining up on you, and me and you kind of did our quests together because we're on the same quest by the time we joined up together,
right? And
the more and more I played it, the more and more I was like, man, I actually really want like this game, like a multiplayer MMO like or MMO-ish Fallout game where I am existing in a multiplayer space, talking with friends and just completing quests, and going around and just completing quests and fighting NPCs and doing all this stuff, or not NPCs, but fighting enemies and doing all that stuff. I was surprisingly like relaxed by the experience. Like it's weird enough how like this is a post-apocalyptic game that I'm playing during a pandemic. It's weirdly laid back in a way I wasn't expecting. And yeah, like I honestly can't believe that this game existed before NPCs. Like as far as I can tell, like the NPCs make a huge difference. I couldn't imagine playing this game without NPCs in them. Like I really enjoyed.
Oh yeah,
that
totally.
aspect
And that's the thing I was telling you about when we started, right? Is that, and I guess for you too, listener or audio viewer, is the idea that when I had Pete Hines on We Have Cool Friends and we talked about it, I was like, oh man, I was thinking about restarting a character for it. And it's like, oh, you should. We did the entire main quest or whatever. And so it's crazy to come out of that vault now and immediately have NPCs there that are there to talk to you and explain why they're there and what's going on in the world, and then to roll into it. And even for me, I forget how many hours I put into Fallout 76 vanilla or whatever you want to call it. Because again, for what it was, I enjoyed, but eventually, obviously, the bugs and lack of stuff and disjointedness drove me away. To have it now be like, yeah, I'm playing through that game again with you, and not repeating the same things, right? Like you're immediately into this Wastelanders quest. You're immediately into this whole treasure thing. You're still looking for the Overseer, which was the main thing that had you out of the thing to begin with. But they've now married the two. So you're running through doing this one quest line that's still furthering both plots, but making it seem like a coherent story and more Fallout than ever before in terms of it feels like Fallout again. Whereas before it was very much talking to robots and wandering around and occasionally running into Grimecraft and Power Armor.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, like I had a great time that afternoon with you. And it was that same thing of, I felt like we were slowly getting up to running, you know what I mean? Where we started and going. And then by the end of it, like when we signed off, I was like, fuck, I want to play more. Like, I want to keep doing this. I want to keep chasing down this quest. I want to keep fighting these things. For me, running on a PlayStation 4 Pro, it's running way better than it did. I mean, not even at launch, I feel like it's running just way better, period, than last time I tried it when I was right before E3 when I wanted to see what it was all up about.
Yeah, like by the time we finished it, I think both me and you finished on the same quest, and I've been itching to play it ever since, right? Like the thing that that got me also was the fact that there are conversation trees and there are decisions you make, and you can go about, like me and you were on the same quest, and we had an option to like go in guns blazing or go in by like knowing a password or like sneaking in, right? There was a mission where we could approach it with different options, and there was a part where I fucked a thing up, and you were able to do it the way that like you're kind of supposed to do it.
Yeah. So if you haven't played yet, like there'll be points where you go through a door, and if it's a big conversational moment or it can branch your story, it'll lock the other player out. Or when you try to come in, it'll ask, do you want to join me or do your own thing? That way you can branch your story your own way.
Yeah.
So I walked in, I was talking to the guy totally pleasantly, and I just hear you getting killed. Like, oh God.
Yeah, that's the thing is like, and even like the moment I'm talking about, right, was a moment where we're both trying to enter a camp, and you can either like tell them the password or sneak in or like try and shoot your way in. And you did the password thing because you saw the intercom that you're supposed to speak in, and you're able to get in that way and go in without a fight. But I totally missed the intercom that I'm supposed to speak into, and so I ended up just walking in, and all of a sudden they did not like that one bit, and so it turned into a guns blazing situation. But yeah, like being able to see both sides of like, oh yeah, no, like they're actually providing player choice in a way that is actually fun and interesting and is evocative of an actual Fallout experience, right? Evocative of actual single player Fallout. Like I was surprised about how much I got out of Fallout 76 with this new update that really brought me back to playing Fallout 4, and really reminded me of the things I enjoyed about playing Fallout 4. And so I'm looking forward to playing more of it.
I was gonna say, that's the big question. Are you gonna go back to it, you think?
I think I'm gonna go back to it. I've been having the itch to go back to it. My main thing is I hope it keeps this up. Like I hope it doesn't just like tank, out of nowhere, because
that's my big question for it too. Because when Pete was on We Have Cool Friends even, and we were talking about it, he eventually pumped the brakes to be very clear. Like, keep in mind that this isn't a whole new game. It isn't this Wastelanders content, and eventually you run out of, I assume, NPCs to talk to, and it is more of the whole interacting with each other, and back to, I can't imagine they scrapped all the quests from the main game of running down these AI cores or looking at these people or talking through an intercom or whatever. Like I feel like that's still got to be there. It's just right now this opening's so good of it or whatever, and I feel
that's my thing
too. I was telling you, like, just performance-wise, which is obviously be expected more than a year later, right? And obviously they've gone through a lot with this game. I guess way more than a year later, right? Not having it chug and actually be able to get into the crafting things and get out of them super easily. And I thought that was running way better. I thought it was way more easier to scrap materials, but I can't remember. And that's one of those things of, Am I remembering it just chugging, or was it more cumbersome to do all this stuff? It feels like I'm doing the things I want to do faster. It feels like I'm not as bogged down, worried about caps for fast travel. Like there's a bunch of stuff I felt that nickeled and dimed you the first time I played Fallout. And granted, we played in afternoon for like 4 hours or whatever. So it's not like I'm hours and hours in to tell you if that's a real thing, but I feel like I was having a better time with it. Or I definitely was having a better time with it. I was the first time around. I feel like it's a better experience, but I don't know if that's 100% correct.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like I wanted to play more. And so Saturday, I actually booted it back up and played a little bit, but it was that thing of, well, you weren't there, which sucked because I was like, no blessing.
You could have called me up. I would have played with you probably.
The problem I had is I knew I didn't have that much time. You know what I mean? It was and it was that thing or two where I was wavering between that and Animal Crossing. So I jumped back in and started playing it a bit, and I didn't have you, and I don't think I was in the right mindset, and so I bounced and played Animal Crossing. So you didn't miss anything. I think I maybe did one more mission, maybe got one more, level up, and then whatever. But I'm down to play more to see what's up with it and try to feel it out.
Dude, let's make it happen. Let's do it.
Good. Then for me, quick hit, like I did the Division 2 raid over on twitch.tv/kindoffunny games. Hopefully you came over and watched me, Fran, Richie, and the rest of the Kind of Funny clan do it. First time I actually finished it. We did it on Discovery, which is basically easy, not the crazy normal one where we couldn't get past the first boss back in the day. And I had made the mistake coming in, Blessing, of thinking, well, it's been basically a year since this dropped and it kicked my teeth in. And now we have higher level and all this stuff's happening. Clearly you can do this raid faster. And so we brought in a Sherpa who I was like, all right, cool. And then he ran me through all the gear stuff I needed to change out. And I was like, I'm in over my head. And so he walked me through that. And then I was like, now real quick, you're the only person who's completed this before. Should we do it on normal or should we do it on Discovery? And he's like, Discovery, we can totally beat it. I'm thinking we could beat it in like, an hour, maybe an hour and a half. I was like, oh, fuck. He's like, well, maybe 2 hours. I'm like, all right, no big deal. And then I'm like, what about normal? And he's like, normal, I think we could do up until a point. And I'm like, oh, let's not do that. Let's just do Discovery. And so we went and played on Discovery and we were having a great time and we were just beating the shit out of this thing, having a great time. And I felt like it was easier than most real Division stuff. But again, it's 8 players. So if you're playing it on an easier difficulty, it's going to be easier, right? But then we got to the final section. And I remember getting to the final section and looking at the clock. And I'm like, man, I'm going to end this stream. We're going to finish this part. And I'm going to have like an hour and a half, 2 hours to play on this stream because I only wanted to go to 5. And we'd been playing since 3, right? So like we're talking about like 4 o'clock we got there. Or no, that's not right. 2 o'clock wait, no, hold on. Math. How's math work? So we got there and I thought I was going to have 2 hours left to go.
Okay.
So I was like, this is just 2 hours to run other shit and get season pass. It'll be great. It took us the rest of the fucking 2.5 hours or whatever to beat this fucking final boss.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, God damn it. And it's back to the normal thing of I respect raids in the moment. I love raids, but like that fucking feeling in my gut of like, am I about to waste fucking like when we kept losing and it was like, and it's always that one thing where, the second try in, we almost had him. Like, we one of us doesn't go down. It's not the end of it. Doesn't matter. And we're done. And then every time after that, we did worse. And it was just like that thing of like, am I about
to name of the game?
Waste my goddamn afternoon not being able to beat this fucking giant mech or whatever the fuck that happened. But then you beat it and you feel like fucking God and you feel so good. And it's just this giant, like raids are such a weird thing. It's the same way I felt about Destiny raids. It's the same way I felt about DC Universe Online raids. It's the same way I feel about this, where if you were going to tell me we're going to do the same fucking thing for that long, you'd be like, I don't know. But when you're in the moment, even when I think back on Destiny 2 in the raid there, right? And like when
the Callus dungeon,
is that the one with the guy and the big fat guy in the cup?
Yeah, that's
Callus,
what I
remember. Yeah. I remember doing that with Andrea and both What's Good and Kind of Funny clan members. And like when we failed, when we just gave up after 5 hours, and it was still like, I remember coming to bed and telling Jen it was still fun. Like I had a great time with it. It's just we didn't get anything fucking done. But to get this one done and be like, cool. And I like took off all the raid gear they made me put on my normal stuff, and I'm like, this is how I like to play the Division. I'm just gonna run around and do season pass shit and complete my missions and be happy.
Yeah,
good stuff, but crazy.
I remember the Destiny 2 raid, the Leviathan raid, which was the one with Callus, who's like the big guy in with the Chalice, I guess.
Yeah.
But the amount of time I put into that raid and the amount of time it took me to beat that raid was ridiculous. Like it was the first time I'd actually like done something like that outside of doing like heists in GTA Online, which is probably like the closest thing.
Yeah.
But I remember getting to the point where all of my friends had beaten the raid like separately with like other people, and it was one of those things where I was just the one person who had not beat it, with anybody.
Yeah.
And it was like week 2 or 3 where I was like, y'all, we gotta just do this. We gotta get
this done. We gotta get this done and move on.
Yeah, legit. I might have spent 30 hours in that raid alone. It was a great time though. Like you really enjoy it when you're in it, but it's frustrating when you just can't get it down and you have to give up for a night. Like that's literally the worst feeling.
And then what else did I play? Oh, so this one I put on here, and everybody slow down, all right, ladies and gentlemen. Don't attack me. I played a fold apart, right? Which technically is not on PlayStation. And I just did a quick Google. GamePressure.com, where I go for all my news, says it's coming in 2021 to Xbox and PS4, so you can count this as a preview of that. I played it on Switch. It's on Apple Arcade right now as well. It might be on PC. I'm not sure about that. It's that cute one from a while back with the Indie Direct where basically it's this couple in a long distance relationship, and you have to fold the pieces of paper together origami style in like these puzzles to connect them. And the trailer had looked dope. I had been all about it, and I got home and started playing it, and it didn't run well on Switch, which is fine because by the time it gets to PlayStation 4, hopefully it'll be optimized. But more than anything, I just didn't like the puzzles. Like the whole, I'm not a big puzzle gamer, period, so I probably can't hold it against it. But it was like folding things in and doing stuff. I was just getting way too annoyed to the point like you can do the thing where you auto solve it, and the story seems really interesting, but it's like 3 hours from what I found online. I was like, meh, I'm not gonna come back to this one. So just a heads up on that one. Doesn't get Greg's seal of approval for when it does eventually come to PlayStation. And then, blessing, the final thing I played this week was Freak Out Calamity TV. That's right. One of my game for this week's 104 PSN games ranked. If you didn't know, each and every week we read through the blog, pick a game, then we review it and rank it here on the thing. Me and Blessing have been talking about like doing this. We've taken your feedback on 104 PSN games ranked too. We thought we'd just start tossing them into what you've been playing and do it that way, and then keep updating the list and do stuff like that. But it's weird to make it its own segment and break it out and talk forever about it when it can just fit here too. Right, Bless?
Exactly.
So Freak Out Calamity TV is a twin stick shooter. I've been playing a million twin stick shooters, it seems like, this entire way through. And so I wanted to try this one because it lined up with what we're doing. The idea, of course, is that it's kind of like Running Man. Like you're in this Freak Out Calamity TV. You're in the show where you got to go through and kill a bunch of people. There's all these mutants they'll send at you and whatever. It's got a great soundtrack. I like its graphical style. The problem is that there is a screen shake on this that can't be disabled. Like when you shoot your gun, the screen like bumps, and it literally was giving me a fucking huge headache. It hurt my eyes. And then there's screen tearing too, like a performance issue, right? And it sucks because the shooting is fun. Like trying to figure out how to get around the room and kill everybody before they kill you is fun. You obviously have to clear out a room, then the story progresses, right? And you keep going, and then there's a boss or whatever. The problem is on top of the screen shake happening and hurting my eyes, on top of the screen, the thing, it's got a great soundtrack. I then had it break on me twice, which I haven't had happen in a game in a while.
Wait, break isn't how I
broke the fucking game, and I had to quit to the main menu because there was nothing else for me to do. Where the first one was I beat the boss, and it was like then a story moment of like, we're gonna blow open the wall. They blew open the wall, and I ran through the wall, and it cut, but nothing happened. And so we just sat there on this weird screen with nothing happening, and then the boss respawned and just started walking around the environment. So I quit, exited the main menu, came back in, and I got to go to the next level. Like I'd beaten that level, go to the next one. I was like, all right, no big deal. In that one, I had to kill a whole bunch of people. And then, you're advancing and doing this thing. And it was what I wrote it down. Like I went in and I got a key from the room that I needed to get the key from. And then like the advanced dialogue screen popped up, but I didn't click it to advance it. So I left the room and I advanced the dialogue. And then the room that I was in, walls went off and sealed it in. And enemies started pouring into that room. So clearly I was supposed to get locked in that room and then kill all the enemies, and then the doors would open again. But instead I was locked out of the room with all the enemies, and they were all just filling in that room. And I was like, fuck. And I was like trying to shoot through the walls or around the walls, and I couldn't. And so then I quit and came back in, and it was like I had to start from the beginning level again. I was like, I've seen enough. I'm good on this one. Like, again, not it has potential. It can be patched to be great. Fix that screen shake that I hate and hurts my eyes. Fix these bugs apparently that are in there that break the game literally. But other than that, don't worry about it. I'm not too worried about it. Again, to toss in the rankings, right? Like again, I compare it to games of its same ilk or whatever, and you figure that what I had put, it came from Space and 8R Brains at number 13, right? Which was that twin stick shooter or whatever. I had another one, didn't I? That I did, or did I put a Rush Rover, which I also didn't dig. But see, it's weird because this one's broken, but I liked it more than Rush Rover. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, for ranking it, I would say Moons of Madness. Interesting. Just because it fucking hurt my eyes and I can't play it. I guess I'm gonna put it below Spartan Fist. So that goes in at number 27, above Music Racer, unless you want to stop me.
No, I won't stop you there.
You love your Music Racer or whatever.
Trust me, I don't.
Weston, what did you play this week?
So I played a little game by the name of Final Fantasy VII from 1997.
Oh, you went back and played the D-Make. Okay.
Yeah, I played the D-Make of the game that came out this year.
Yeah, of course.
So ever since I beat Final Fantasy VII Remake, I've been having an itch to like get more of that experience, right? Like I love Final Fantasy VII Remake so much, and if I have a complaint with Final Fantasy VII Remake, is that there's not enough post game content. Like I just want to keep playing that game, and so I decided like, hey, I'm very curious on what the story of the original looked like, what the rest of the story looks like. I really wanted, like, I'm at the point where I'm like, I want all the Final Fantasy VII story and content and lore and all that stuff. Just give it to me. I'm in. You sold me. And so I started playing Final Fantasy VII, the original one, which I've started playing like quite a few times throughout my life. Like I've always made it to like where you get to like not that far in, like Aerith's like flower garden in the church or whatever. Like usually that's where I make it to before I'm like, all right, I'm bored, and then I bounce out. This time around, when I started playing, immediately I was like, yeah, man.
Really?
I was like, this is hitting the spot. And it's a few things, right? The battle system is very comparable to the battle system in the remake, right? Of course, it's very
comparable. Very comparable.
It's weird how well they made the original battle system translate into the new game, because
more action-y set,
even though it's way different because it's actiony and you are doing combos and you like Cloud is switching from his normal mode to his operator mode and you're switching between characters and doing all this crazy stuff. The core of like the materia system is still there. Like the materia system functions pretty much the exact same way. And so I didn't have to like learn that, like that translated pretty well. But then also like there is a fluidity to the combat in the original game that I did not get until I played the new one. And I don't know, I don't know what it was, but like in the original game they have active time. I think it's called active time battle. Yeah. Where you're waiting. It's not turn based per se, but you're waiting for your time gauge to raise all the way up before you can do an attack, or before you can act. And that essentially adds like this layer of fluidity to the combat. You feel like everything is always going. You feel like you have to pay attention to what's happening. You don't. It's not like you just sit there and wait, for the animations to happen and then it's your turn again, right? At all times you're active, right? Because it's active time battle.
Exactly.
And so I was surprised by how much I've been enjoying the battle system this time around. When we talk a lot about like games aging well versus not aging well, and the different ways in which games can age badly, right? Whether that is through like antiquated storytelling, or like gameplay controls not holding up, or whatever it may be. This battle system, I feel like, and granted it's easier because it's like a turn-based kind of thing, but I've had no issue at this point like playing with this battle system. Like I've not felt any like pushback from the game, as it like going into it in 2020 doesn't feel weird as far as the battle system. The actual like overworld stuff and running around and talking to characters, I've also really enjoyed. Like that's the thing where you have to put your mind in 1997, to kind of get around a bit, because that is the stuff where it's like, all right, this is an old game. That being the case, like what I think the thing that's really gotten me into it is seeing Final Fantasy VII Remake and seeing how kind of melodramatic it can be and how serious it can be, and Cloud is badass, and like it's very much like a modern anime-ish like JRPG game. The original game was very goofy in a way that games in that era were goofy, and I was not expecting that. And so you have a lot of those elements coming out, and you have like Cloud being more of a brat than he is like a emo soldier. You have characters overall having funnier moments than they do in the remake. But the big thing for me as I've been playing the original game is that seeing how each of the areas has been recreated in the remake from the original game, going back and playing it, like it's fascinating because they don't skip a beat at all. Like each screen from the original game feels represented in the remake for the most part, for those first 8 hours of the original game that they expanded out into a full experience in Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like before I played the game, I think it was Timur Hussein I was talking to, and he was talking about how like if you go back and play the original Final Fantasy VII now, like it'll feel like it's a Wikipedia page for remake. And yeah, like going back to it, it does feel like it is the remake condensed, but in a way where I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm having a blast revisiting all these places, all these things, all these events that I did in the remake, but like interpreted, or not even interpreted because the original game came out first, but like just done in a different way, in a way that feels more condensed. Like they really like stretched out certain parts of that game for the remake in ways that actually blow my mind going back to it. And so I'm having a blast. I'm like way past where the remake ends.
How many hours you putting, you think?
I'm about 15 hours in.
Oh wow, okay, you're in.
Yeah, I'm like in, and yeah, like I'm curious to see. Like right now, I don't have any plans of stopping playing, but I've noticed that since I've gotten past where the remake stops, like I've not felt as motivated to like be as in it as I've been. That said, like I think that's also a thing of I've just been playing it for so long now that, and like I pretty much spent the week playing that game. I'm starting to have that fatigue with it. But either way, like I plan to see through this game, and I plan to play more Final Fantasy games and more JRPGs in general. Like, not that I wasn't playing JRPGs before. Like I've always been like a casual-ish fan of JRPGs, but I've always had pushback against Final Fantasy for whatever reason. And I think part of it is like for the Final Fantasy games I've tried, they've either been old because I've tried Final Fantasy VII multiple times, or they've been like too linear for me, or just not doing it. Like Final Fantasy 13 I've tried and I couldn't get into it after like 5 hours of playing it. Final Fantasy 14 I tried, and that was an MMO. It's a different kind of game, but I couldn't get into it, mainly because it was an MMO, but either way I couldn't do it. But after playing Final Fantasy 7 Remake, and after playing, or while I'm playing this current Final Fantasy 7 game, like I want to play more. Like I want to try out 15. There's a game on Wii that I played called The Last Story, which is a Final Fantasy-ish game that I really liked. And I think that is like, I'm having flashbacks of playing that game, and I think it's informing how I'm feeling right now of wanting to get into like more JRPGs. And so I have that plan right now. That's kind of where things are looking for me. After this, probably 15, but we'll see, maybe 10.
Yeah, we'll see how many you actually commit to and go through. Yeah.
But like I tweeted on Twitter, I tweeted on Twitter this week that I've been enjoying Final Fantasy 7. I want to play more Final Fantasies, and pretty much everybody has like responded saying that I should play X Final Fantasy game, and it's pretty much been every Final Fantasy game that people responded with. Like I got plenty of people being like, "Oh yeah, no, play 10." People saying, "Oh no, play 8, play 6, play 15, play whatever." And so we'll see where that goes. But so far, yeah, I'm really enjoying Final Fantasy 7.
Awesome. That's really cool. I like that idea of coming back to it.
I honestly, dude, I'd recommend, if you haven't played the original and you finish Remake, I recommend giving it a shot. Like I worry about it being too much. Like the original never clicked for me, and I loved Remake, but I loved Remake, and so I don't want to come back and be like, all right, I don't want to do this right now. Yeah, but it was weirdly smooth this time around. Like originally, I like all the original times I played it, not clicked. This time, it's something different. But I also think it's different. I got that hype right now, that Final Fantasy 7 hype, and so gotcha. Gotta live it out. Played Fallout 76, like you said. I also played Overwatch. I've been playing Overwatch for like the last however many weeks. Same as usual. I hear about it all the time. Lucy comes out of her room, says she's playing with you. Yep, and having a good old time getting them wins. I'm playing as Reaper. I'm killing the game. Good. New thing, Echo, the new Overwatch hero, has been released, and Echo's whole deal is, actually, I don't know what Echo's whole deal is as far as like lore or whatever, but Echo's deal as a character in the game is that she's basically an attack hero, and when she gets her ultimate ability, which is like the ability that fills up like after her gauge gets to 100. Yeah, Greg, you know Overwatch, you know what I'm talking about. Dude, I'm all about the Overwatch in the hundreds. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Once you use your ultimate ability, you copy another character's like you copy another character. You're like Kirby, where you transform into that character.
Oh, you suck
and you're basically you don't suck them up, but it is like she calls out like Lucio, and then she turns into Lucio, and then all of a sudden like she's an overpowered Lucio. She's been an interesting character to play with and against. I've not played much of her. The time I have played as her, like she seemed pretty powerful. Like her attacks were pretty like she's very much an attack hero. Like she'll take somebody out quick. But her ultimate is like really the big thing that I feel like has kind of, made things shaking things up in a way that I like. Because like I don't know, Overwatch for me is a game that I play until I am tired of it.
Sure.
Which I guess you can say about any game, but Overwatch specifically, like.
But you run through cycles with it, right? Where you turn on, you play for a while, and you bounce off, like me with Fortnite.
Exactly. Yeah, Overwatch is very much that type of game, and I found that Echo being thrown into the equation has spiced things up in a way that I really like, and so far I'm enjoying Echo in the game. I found that Echo hasn't really been ruining much. The only thing I'd say is that like the balancing of attack heroes has kind of gotten a bit much. Like when I've been playing with like Lucy, but then also Tamor, and Tamor's been pointing out a lot that like you'll have attack heroes that have the ability to get away. And like that then ends up in a lot of encounters that are people starting fights with you, but then like Reaper, who I play as, has ability where he turns into a wraith and can get away from a encounter, and so you'll have that happening a lot. Echo has an ability where she can basically like do a backflip away, and so you'll see that happening a lot, and like that can get annoying.
That can get annoying.
Yeah, but that's like the only thing I'd point out. Okay. Overall, been still enjoying Overwatch, having a good time with it. Then aside from that, Greg, this week, I want to shout out. I've been playing Guilty Gear Strive. They had a closed beta. I couldn't play much of because the online when I tried to play it was broken, and so that was
you hate to see it.
You hate to see it. I also been playing Blind Men, which is my 104 games. Yeah, that's my game that I've been playing for this week. Blind Men is a visual novel. It's like a parody of spy fiction, and so you play as Keegan, who is a nephew of a supervillain. Okay. And Keegan's whole deal in the game is that he wants to become a supervillain. He wants to join the League of Villains. So basically, what he does, or what what he does. I'm trying to think of like what the decisions are in this game. There aren't many. Sure. There's like 6 choices in this game.
For this entire game?
Yeah, for the entire game, there are maybe 6, maybe 7, if I'm being generous, choices that you make. And they're like not even like crazy choices. Like it's like 2 options for each choice. But yeah, Keegan wants to join the League of Villains. The way he wants to do this is he wants to commit a crime. That's like his whole deal. He wants to like do something big in order to impress the League of Villains so that he can join. About 40 minutes in this game, I was kind of like, I don't know how I'm feeling about this. Like it's a visual novel, right? Like it's a visual novel that doesn't seem to be doing anything special. It's a visual novel. Like it seems pretty static in a lot of its illustrations. Like when I think of good visual novels, right? Or when I think of what I want from a visual novel, like, I don't need it to be like the most complicated, like advanced, like technically impressive thing in the world.
Yeah. You want choices and character and story.
Yeah, I do want story and characters and choices and all that stuff. I also do want like in terms of the simple things, right? Sound effects when I click through to a next dialogue thing,
sure.
Right? Like that'd be cool. Multiple like facial expressions in my character, right? Like I feel like Keegan half the game was doing like the same. He had the same pose, right? No matter what the emotion was when what he was saying. And so like it at times I'd say that Blind Men feels like a bare minimum visual novel, but the thing I will say is that there are some songs in there in the soundtrack that I really enjoyed. They're like the overall aesthetic of it, how like kind of cartoony but like cutesy. It gives me like a Kim Possible-ish kind of vibe. Okay. I kind of.
But doesn't nail it. You get this vibe, but you're not like into it. It's not like giving you the whole spy run.
No, because it feels it feels like it's just not advanced, like I'm trying to find the nice word for it. Like I almost want to say it feels amateur, but I feel like that's almost like doing too much. But it doesn't feel like it's all the way there. It feels like it's a still developing idea. Here's the thing that I will say about Blind Men. 40 minutes in, I was about to hang up the towel. I was about to be done.
Yep.
Because as Keegan, I go to this event, and my plan is to kidnap like this famous person. And I'm like doing things. I'm talking to people. And
I'm doing things. I'm talking to people.
And then I'm like, all right, you know what, man, I might be done. But then I click a few dialogue choices further, or not choices, but dialogue prompts further. Yeah, and things get spicy, Greg. Now I'm talking to another spy, right? His name is like Thomas or something like that. Tommy, something along those lines. He's an American spy, right? And Tommy gets very flirty, Greg.
Okay,
Tommy
now you have my attention.
Starts like touching my arm in certain ways. He kind of leans into my ear, starts saying some things.
Sure.
And that's when I was like, oh, I knew I was playing a visual novel. I didn't know I was playing this type of visual novel. And that's when I was like, I'm finishing this game because I want to see where this goes.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's erotic? Hold on, I'm hanging out.
Yeah. I was like, oh, this is getting some spicy places. And so you have two options for men you can romance. Right. It's apparently it's called a boys love visual novel, which I wasn't aware of before. But it's basically like it's dude loving dudes, right? It's that type of thing.
Pick your favorite husbando.
Yeah, you get two options for your husbando. You have an American spy, and then you have some like Russian dude who like I didn't care about, because Greg, I was all about this American. Had a great smile, everything.
Sure.
Got further in the game. I don't want to spoil it in case people out there want to play Blind Men. It's only like an hour and a half long.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's pretty short. By the time I finished it, I was actually surprised by like how I wasn't like crazy into the story or anything like that. Right. And like the dialogue didn't have incredible writing. And like, in fact, there were typos in the dialogue at points. But by the time I finished it, I will say I was like, that was like a nice, small, delightful experience that has a lot of flaws, but overall, like, I didn't hate my experience.
Okay.
I didn't hate it. By the time I finished it, it kind of brought itself back, and it took erotic elements to do it. But like, I finished it, and I was like, that was an interesting, good time.
Now it's a Radalika game. Are you going to go back for the platinum? That means it's pretty easy.
I think the platinum takes like maybe 10 minutes to get, because I looked up a video and the video was 10 minutes long. Greg, here's the thing. I'll tell you exactly how it happens, how you do it. Right? Because you get the different trophies based on the choices you make.
And I'm looking at the trophies right now, and let me tell you, they have some erotic art for the trophies. I like this quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
A lot of hands.
In the menu, if you press pause in the game, if you turn you can turn your dialogue speed all the way up, and you can turn it to auto skip.
Gotcha.
And so yes, it's basically doing that, right? It's going rapidly through the dialogue so you can get to the choices. Perfect. And so basically you're just making and when I say there are 6 choices to make, Greg, each
you're
choice
not exaggerating.
I'm not exaggerating, right? There's 6 choices, each choice is having 2 options. And so this platinum trophy must take 10 minutes tops, I imagine. Damn. And so there you go, Greg.
The blind man trophy, apparently. Blind man.
Yeah,
trophy.
man.
Where do you want to put it on the rankings?
I'm gonna put it below the Hunt Showdown, right above Graveyard Keeper. Since I ended up enjoying it more than Graveyard Keeper, but I will not
number
say
18 on our list. Doesn't
number
even crack
18.
The top 10.
I cannot put it above
unchanged.
Hunt Showdown.
Remember, everybody, you can go to kindoffunny.com/104 list if you want to see the current rankings. But yeah, number 18, Blind Men, pushing Freak Out Calamity TV to number 28. You hate to see it. It's time to go to the drop, though, and see what we'll be playing for next week. Of course, we go to the PlayStation blog and pick from the list of games as we read them what our next game for the 104 PSN games ranked will be. Bless, you are up today since it is an even number. You get first pick. Here's what we're reading. Of course, this is Brett Elston over at the PlayStation blog. Aces of the Multiverse on PlayStation 4. Aces of the Multiverse is a game that is played in multiple parallel realities. On the one hand, we have the science fiction characters competing in an exciting tournament. On the other hand, there are players from their real universe, and with the help of their Zlorpla smartwatch, they can unlock new characters, teams, and stadiums. All right. Azure Striker Gunvolt Striker Pack is on PlayStation 4. Azure Striker Gunvolt Striker Pack brings the electrifying 2D side-scrolling action games Azure Striker Gunvolt and Azure Striker Gunvolt 2 to PS4 in one single package. We're going to move on. Nobody's going to pick that. That's too... I feel like that's established, right? We can't do that. Deliver Us the Moon comes to PlayStation 4. Deliver Us the Moon is a sci-fi thriller set in an apocalyptic near future where Earth's natural resources are depleted. A lunar colony providing a vital supply of energy has gone silent. A lone astronaut is sent to the moon on a critical mission to save humanity from extinction. Will you save mankind or be forgotten in the dark abyss of space? Guard Duty comes to PlayStation 4 and Vita. It lives. Discover how the story of a mysterious agent in the future and a castle guard from years past are linked in this traditional point-and-click adventure game. Under the watch of a loyal castle guard, someone has snuck into the kingdom and kidnapped the princess. 1,000 years later, join Agent Starborn to save the Earth and vanquish an evil that has been around for centuries. Help Will Come Tomorrow is on PlayStation 4. In a Siberian wilderness on the eve of October Revolution, passengers must survive a catastrophe on the Trans-Siberian Railway train, manage scarce resources, and stay alive in the frosty wilderness of Siberia until help arrives, facing dangers, their own weakness, and, above all, their own prejudice. Cerebral. Blessing. Moto GP 20 comes out on PlayStation 4. It's a motorcycle thing. I'm not going to read its description. You know what it is. Obey Me comes out on PlayStation 4. Set in the modern world, heaven and hell are locked in a millennial conflict for the souls of mankind. Vanessa Held, a lowly soul huntress in the infernal ranks, and her hellbound companion Monty will tip the balance of war with their own hands. All right. Predator Hunting Grounds is out on PlayStation 4. But we've already confirmed we're going to play that. Asymmetrical multiplayer. You know about it. Spuds Unearthed is on PlayStation 4. Fight to build your own Spud tribe and make your planet prosper in this hilarious action strategy game with a dash of playing God. Journey to different planets, upgrade your heroes, and create new weapons for your galactic conquest. Then it's another one of those bundles, which is a bunch of retro. Yeah. So we're gonna toss out Super Dodgeball is out, part of the retro brawler bundle. Trials of Mana comes out on PlayStation 4. Is that too? That seems like it's too big.
Yeah, that's AAA of the time.
People know what Trials of Mana seamlessly bring together. Wonder Blade is out on PlayStation 4. The princess was captured by a villainous maniac again. What are you waiting for? Grab your weapon, free the princess, and save the world. With those sweet combos, killer finishing moves, and devastating magic abilities, the bad guys won't know what hit them. Don't forget to wear a costume and make you a one-of-a-kind adventure. Blessing, you get first pick. What is calling your name?
Man, this seems like
rough week.
No matter what I pick. So I'm not going to have the greatest week.
Sure.
Honestly, man, I feel like getting weird.
Oh, nice.
I might go MotoGP 20.
Wow, that was unexpected, Bless. That was unexpected.
To see what it's about. I just want to know, like.
I mean, it's about a racing game, right?
Because
Moto is a thing. Like these guys, they're sponsored by Yamaha in the art, right?
Oh yeah, of course. But like as a kid growing up, I played a lot of like MX versus ATV, which I know is different from this here, but like extreme sports game.
Very similar.
It has wheels, and so I want to know like what has that turned into? Since then, since like the PS2 heyday of MX versus ATV games. Oh, right. Kevin brought up the gameplay.
Look at that.
Yeah, I'm gonna do this one. Plus I need a game that is actiony. After I played a visual novel last week, I need something that is going to activate, that side of my brain. Something I can use these hands for. Those hands
got to do something. You know what I mean? They can't keep resting in ivory. They got to get out there and do something.
Exactly. Wrestling with ivory?
No, resting in. I don't know. It's like ivory, like I remember it from Seinfeld when Kramer's like, "What do you think? These hands have been resting in ivory?" Because they were like accusing him of not getting. I don't know. I don't understand what it means.
Yeah, I don't get that.
I thought of it like kind of like a buttermilk bath, like Wilbur from Charlotte's Web. Remember Charlotte's Web when he's getting ready to go to the fair?
That's what I thought too. But then I was thinking about it. Maybe it's chilling on a piano. You know what I mean? Ivory keys.
No, it can't be. I mean, it's like ivory soap.
But that was stupid. I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, it's fine. I appreciate
you trying. It's okay, Kevin. I saw what you're doing there.
I'm picking Deliver Us the Moon. Another. I obviously keep doing these weird space games, I guess.
Yeah.
But Deliver Us the Moon is a sci-fi thriller set in an apocalyptic near future. I remember Deliver Us the Moon coming to other platforms before this and people talking about it. So hey, I'll try it on PlayStation 4.
All right, let's see what that's about.
Oh, here.
I like the art for it. The art is very much an astronaut on the moon, and that's
exactly
with a little buddy.
You see him like, yeah, okay, I remember this trailer, right? Him spinning out of control, shooting all over the fucking place. Wire Productions, you're on the moon.
Oh, I fucked up. This looks cool.
Too late. Yeah, you got MotoGP.
I picked MotoGP.
Enjoy Road Rash without the fucking fighting, you idiot.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you, when they're ready to make another Road Rash, I'm ready to buy it. All right, cool. Awesome. We'll talk about that next week then and see where we all shake out. Big Daddy Bless. Let's see over here now.
Little Daddy Greg, what up?
I love it. We got a question here. Yeah, you want to hear it?
Well, I'll hear it. Yeah.
The thebpfeif writes in to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames and says, what is Sony's strategy for the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 4 Pro in a post PS5 launch world? With the PS5 presumably imminent launch at the end of this year, what do you think Sony's plans are for the PS4 family? The two previous generations had seen some extended life beyond their successors' launches. PS2 got an extra 7 years after the PS3 launch, and PS3 had about 2.5 years after the PS4. Based on recent conversations on Kind of Funny Games Daily, it sounds like the PS5 is poised to launch around $500. Could Sony cut the PS4 down to one SKU and target it as a budget PlayStation and keep it in that $300 price range? If the PS4 does stick around for 2 to 3 more years, would any first-party studio actually support a cross-platform release in 2021 and beyond? Or would the PlayStation 4 serve as a third-party major franchise machine, e.g. FIFA, Madden, Assassin's Creed going forward? Thanks for all you guys do. You're killing it even while working from home. The timeline for the PS2 and PS3 life cycles is this: October 26, 2000, and this is from the thebpfeif, who I believe. PS2, and this is all America. October 26, 2000, PlayStation 2 launches in North America. November 17th, 2006, PS3 launches in North America. Did I screw that up? January 2013, PS2 is discontinued. November 15th, 2013, PS4 launches in North America. March 2016, PS3 shipments to North America end. Bless, how long is PS4 going to be kicking around after this?
I mean, in terms of it being relevant, like I think we have a few years with the PS4 left, because the thebpfeif asks here, right? If the PS4 does stick around for 2 to 3 more years, would any first party studio actually support a cross platform release in 2021 and beyond? I think so. Yeah, just because the PS5 is coming out doesn't mean that everybody automatically is going to have a PS5, right? Like we talked all about in the beginning of this episode, or the first segment of this episode, about how they're limiting the manufacturing supply of the PS5, right? There are going to be less PS5 sold than the PS4, at least in the first few years. There's still a large audience that have PS4s and that will have PS4s. Like the PS4 surpassed 100 million, if I remember correctly. And that audience is still that audience isn't going anywhere, right? Like that is still a money making opportunity. I think it was like, you look back at the PS3's history of having games released for it still, and I want to say Metal Gear Solid 5 came out for PS3, and that was in 2015, late 2015, right? 2 years after the PS4 launched. Persona 5 came out for PS3, I believe. Of course, Persona is always like it's a weird game when it because that's the thing that happened with Persona 4 also. Where Persona 4 came out for PS2 in like 2008 or something like that. But still, like, I think there's opportunity there as far as making sure, or not, as far as taking advantage of a large audience still having a system.
The thing about the PlayStation 2 being supported for so long after the fact was that it was just such a great budget DVD player. You know, and that's why it got into people's houses so quickly. And then after the fact, it did become so many people. I mean, first off, they kept making PS5 or 2s and making them smaller and making them the top loader and all that jazz. But it was so easy to put that in a kid's room just to have a DVD for them to watch, or in a car and have somebody a DVD watch. That's one of the reasons I think that thing proliferated for so long. I think PS4 is going to be supported by third parties for a long time after the PlayStation 5. In terms of how much longer PlayStation keeps making them, I think it runs into what the adoption rate of the PlayStation 5 will be. That's what we're talking about, right? Like, I think PlayStation 4 was such a runaway success that it was easier to end PS3 shipments. Whereas if PS4s are still selling, they are still moving the units they're putting out there. People aren't upgrading. They are buying these PS4s for whatever reason they want, the library, or just for Blu-rays and stuff. I think it's a different ball of wax on how long you keep it. I think it'll be around longer than the PlayStation. I think Sony will support the PlayStation 4 longer than it did the PS3, but shorter than it did the PS2.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, right? Because PS4 is sold more than the PS3 and not as much as the PS2, and so I think that lines up there also. as far as like what is Sony's strategy for the PS4 and PS4 Pro in a post-launch PS5 world, I think that's an interesting question. We talked about on KFGD today about Microsoft, because we had the limited edition Cyberpunk 2077 version of the Xbox One that was revealed and is coming out in June with only like 45,000 units.
Yeah.
And people have been pointing out that like the Xbox One X has been being put on sale and all this stuff, and it seems like, you know, there's been talk around, is Microsoft limiting supply of the Xbox One to gear up for the Xbox Series X, right? Are they trying to phase it out to gear up for next gen? PlayStation historically hasn't really done that. No. But would they do we see them doing that differently this time around? This question here. Sorry, there's like a loud motorcycle outside my window. If you can hear that.
It's the MotoGP crew delivering your copy. They're so excited like, somebody wants to play this game. Like, holy shit! Do a wheelie over there to Blessings.
Finally a player.
Well, I'm sure that game does fine. It's just nobody cares about it in our sect. Yeah. I don't think PlayStation just can cut it off. You know what I mean? I think it is that they want to wean people off the PlayStation 4 into the PlayStation 5 ecosystem, but I don't think you're going to see it be a harsh cut. Not to mention, again, that if the concern is the PlayStation 5 is too expensive, then you need that cheaper thing there. I do think the PlayStation 4 will get a price drop. I do think it'll become a more budget model. It's just a question of how long they'll keep shipping those units, and that depends on how long or how successful the PlayStation 5 is and how quickly what that does launch at as a price point and how quickly you can get that price point down, I think.
Yeah. And I think depending on how things go this fall with how sales are and how the launch is and how COVID kind of affects things, like that could cause Sony to effectively like extend the PS4 life cycle, I think, like, and extend that in terms of how they talk about it and how they treat the PS4 in comparison to the PS5, right? Like we talked about previously how we could see like a soft launch of the PS5 this fall, and then like maybe when we like say, and I think the context we were talking about it in was like, what if maybe it was the Xbox, I forget what the context was, but it was something along the lines of like, say Horizon Zero Dawn 2 is planned for launch PS5. Say that game gets delayed because of the effects of COVID and all this stuff, right? And say the PS5 is still planned to come out, but they don't have that big. Sony can make it so that they have two big marketing pushes, right? The initial one with the PS5 and them being like, hey, we don't have as many consoles, but let's do this initial marketing push. Let's get the consoles we do have out there. Let's have people owning them. Let's do all this stuff, right? And now that Horizon Zero Dawn 2 is here, and let's say March, let's now have a bigger push and really focus on pushing these units and getting them into more people's hands.
I do think they're going to push Last of Us to the release of the PlayStation 5. Because it's backwards compatible. Here you go. We suddenly don't need to worry about it. You're already theoretically in a story. You're already theoretically making the order for Last of Us Part 2. Don't you want it to look as good as possible? Don't you want it to run as fast and load and do it all this different bells and whistles that the PlayStation 5 is natively doing for the top 100 PS4 backwards compatible games, or whatever the fuck it's going to end up being? Like, I do think, you're right. And it is that this is a step up. This is better for your games that you're already playing. It's backwards compatible. What do you have to lose, kind of thing? And then, you get to, when everything fixes itself and Horizon is ready or whatever launch titles are ready, you get to go out that way. And let alone the fact of what is Ubisoft doing? You know what I mean? Like, how does the third party next gen launch line, what launch lineup, what does that look like? There's a whole bunch of wiggle room there. Now, Blessing, for reader mail, you wanted to toss out a segment or like a thing we can start pulling in, giving people a question to respond to. What are you talking about over here?
Yeah, so I wanted to pitch a segment to you, Greg, called Best Friends Talk Back, because people ask us questions on the show all the time. We never ask them anything back. We never ask them for their answers on what they think. And Greg, I want to be able to hear what our audience has to say about certain things. And so that's why I'm pitching this segment, Best Friends Talk Back, that we can do, I guess, within reader mail. And do it this way.
Well, it can be its own segment. You don't have to worry about it. It can just be part of the ever-evolving conversational show we do.
Exactly. And so I don't know if you have an idea of how people can submit answers, but based on, I want to ask this question for this first edition of Best Friends Talk Back. I want to ask, what are the must-play JRPGs on PlayStation and why? Right? And I want people to submit one JRPG that they think is a must-play on PlayStation and tell me why that game is a must-play. The reason I'm asking this is because now that I've got this bug, now that I've got this itch, this Final Fantasy itch, I wanna play more JRPGs, right? Like I've played games like Persona, both Persona 4 and Persona 5. I played Nier Automata. All these games are some of my favorite games ever, right? And I have some past with JRPG, but I want y'all to get weird. Tell me the JRPGs that I might not know about. Tell me about the Tales games. Tell me about
the Tales games. Wow.
Yeah, because Tales of Arise is coming out soon, right? I'm sure there's some games on PS4 from the Tales franchise that people can tell me about. Let us know. Greg, do you know how people might be able to let us know?
You can, ladies and gentlemen, you can go to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. I've, as Blessing was talking, updated the form. So now when you go there, ask a question, or kindoffunny.com/Patreon and click on the link to get to the PS I Love You questions in April, they're there. But I'm also going to have Barrett toss it on Twitter. Maybe we'll get some from there too. I'll have him toss it. Try to remind him. He's not watching this. Do these on Fridays, maybe. We get the best friend talk back. We get to add those in.
Awesome. And so we'll take your answers. We'll talk about the best answers on the show. And that'll be a segment. Best friends talk back.
Bam, nailed it. Hold on. So I'm gonna you bring up what we're doing with the next segment, and then I'm gonna message Barrett.
All right. The next segment is a returning segment. It hasn't been here for a while, but we're back. PlayStation's greatest hits. Of course, this is where we go through the last decade of PlayStation, starting with 2010. We talk about each of our games of the year for that generation, or of that year, or games of the year of the decade. Starting
hang in there.
So, yeah, I totally lost myself. In 2010, right? I picked Heavy Rain. Greg picked Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker for Game of the Year. 2011, Greg picked Uncharted 3. I picked Portal 2. 2012, both of us picked Persona 4 Golden because it was the right choice. 2013, Greg picked The Last of Us. I picked Grand Theft Auto 5. In 2014, we both picked South Park: The Stick of Truth. 2015, we both picked Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. And in 2016, I picked Overwatch. Greg picked Uncharted 4. Now, for 2017, this is what the competition looks like, all right? Horizon Zero Dawn, Nier Automata, Destiny 2, Uncharted Lost Legacy, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, Persona 5, Neo, Resident Evil 7, What Remains of Edith Finch, Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus, and Fortnite. Now, I think on a previous episode, I think I might have said that like 2016 or 2015 was like one of the best years for PlayStation this generation. And you know what, man? I didn't give 2017 enough credit. I always viewed 2017 as a big Switch year, but looking at the competition, 2017 was just a big year period. Like there's some great games, and like a lot of them were either launch exclusive for the PS5 or exclusive. Like Persona 5 is exclusive. Nier Automata was exclusive to the PS4. Nier Automata was exclusive for the PS4. Uncharted Lost Legacy, of course. Neo, exclusive for the PS4. It's a big PS4 year here, Greg.
It is. I'm looking through. I'm just doing my homework here. Okay. Because I'm not. But I'm just making sure we didn't miss anything. I'm always afraid of missing something, but that's the risk we run.
Like a 2017 game.
So this is a tough year. Like this is an insane year in terms of like what are you going to pick here? Because I think this is where it comes back. We originally defined this as 10 episodes where we have a segment talking about our PlayStation Game of the Year for each decade.
Yes, for each year of the decade.
Yeah, this is the exact same thing you fucked up 2 seconds ago, and I fucked it up.
Yeah.
We're not the smartest at reading out what we wrote.
It's not like our jobs are to talk.
Fuck.
I feel like there's an easy answer here, Greg, for both of us.
I do too, but then you look at its competition, and you're like, I can't believe it's not there. What do you say is the easy answer?
I mean, I think for people listening, I think there's an expected answer for 2017. And I think that answer is Horizon Zero Dawn.
Of course.
But I'm going to say that's not my answer. Even though I really enjoy Horizon Zero Dawn. And I think it's one of the best games of that year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'd say I don't think. In fact, looking at this list, I wouldn't put it at the number one.
What would you put?
I'm putting Nier Automata at number one.
You're a crazy person. You're a fucking crazy person.
Greg, how much do you know? How much do you know about Nier Automata?
I've seen a lot of cosplay. Usually a butt's hanging out. I started it. And I was like, I'm good. I'm gonna go.
This is difficult to me because there are like Destiny 2, right? Is another game I was thinking of. And that's mainly because that was my first experience with Destiny 2, and I had my experience with Destiny 2 almost transcends like what that game like was and is, right? Like my experience doing the Callus Raid with friends was awesome, all that stuff. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, of course, I talk about it all the time. I love Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. I think it's a technical achievement. Persona 5 is Persona 5. Like, that game is also amazing. Nier Automata, I think, is probably the underrated game of this generation, if I had to choose one. Like, I think Nier Automata, in terms of what it does, in terms of narrative and story, I think is magnificent. The topics it touches on, right? Like, if you're unfamiliar, of course, Nier Automata is a game from Platinum Games, directed by Yoko Taro. It is an action RPG. You play as 2B. You got your friend 9S, all this stuff, right? And the gameplay of it is essentially a hacker slash action game with also shoot 'em up elements that work together so well in the gameplay of it. But then also the way in which they take that and feed it into the rest of the game. Like, at a certain point, you're playing actually, I don't want to spoil anything in Nier Automata, but there are hacking mini games that you play in the game that seem like they should be like mini games, but they're core to what the experience of the game is. Like, you're taking the actual shoot 'em up elements of the game work so core to what the game is, and it's great in that way. But outside of that, right, like the story, the characters, the way in which they talk about what it means to be human, the way in which they talk about what it means to be sentient, the ways in which they tackle that, like as 2B and 9S, right, you arrive on Earth and you're basically given a mission from the humans to go and retake Earth, and the whole thing is that Earth has been taken over by robots, and all these robots are basically they're these faceless like blank slate looking creatures that are actually kind of cute. But the whole thing is, as you play the game, and this isn't spoilers, this is something you kind of realize early on, is that they've been developing humanity and developing emotions and kind of growing and kind of learning to feel the same things that humans feel, right? And the game the game snowballs from there into one of the most magnificent narratives that I've experienced in a game. I know I'm talking in grand statements without giving crazy amounts of detail, but
I understand though. You don't want to spoil it. No, I understand.
I definitely don't want to spoil it, and a lot of it is kind of just experiencing what the game is. Outside of just the story moments and the narrative, like I said, the gameplay is awesome, but then also the soundtrack's one of the greatest soundtracks I've ever heard in my life. It's a lot of it's just great. It's just great. I'm not gonna get into it, but it's excellent. Okay. Visually, the game is awesome. Nier Automata is a game that I'll recommend anybody play, and so.
Okay, that's your pick. Wow, 2017 Nier Automata, and so that's this is fucking really rough, because you look at this and I'm like, the games that jump out to me, right, for PlayStation's greatest hits, 10 episodes. We're talking about the segment of PlayStation Game of the Year for each year of the decade. Obviously, Horizon. Mm-hmm. It's one of those where I'm doing the awards ballot where I nominate something and then but I don't think it would win. So even getting rid of that shit, I would say Horizon, Persona, Fortnite, right? And because I had on here before Resident Evil and Uncharted Lost Legacy, which I wouldn't say are the game of the year for that year, but were great games. And I know how much people really love Lost Legacy. I didn't connect with it as much as the main one.
Really like Lost Legacy.
Resident Evil 7, I think, can't be understated how good that game is in PlayStation VR. But then you're down to Horizon Zero Dawn, Persona 5, and Fortnite. I think, personally, oh, God.
Part of what makes this interesting is that, the segment is called PlayStation's.
I know, that's what's fucking me up.
Which I think backs us into a corner, because I realized the last time we did this, right, I picked Overwatch and you picked Uncharted 4, and a lot of people are mad that I picked Overwatch. And I think with the name of the segment being PlayStation's greatest hits, I get why you would say that Uncharted 4 is a PlayStation greatest hits over Overwatch.
And see, that blessing,
I think of this as game of the year.
That blessing, well, we called it PlayStation's greatest hits. We said what is the PlayStation game of the year? Mm-hmm. And I know to so many people that probably means, well, it's just the game of the year. But if somebody who worked at fucking IGN had to argue all the time and have different picks on different things, it does color the conversation. To where I sit here, Horizon Zero Dawn, Persona 5, and Fortnite, and I'm like, my head says Fortnite, because Fortnite changed video games. Fortnite is one of the greatest success stories of video games, and we continue to see the fucking ripples on the pond from the explosion of that game, from it becoming the biggest thing in the world. It changed streaming. I mean, there's a whole reason Epic started, paying developers more, then started the Epic Game Store and has crazy things like, Fortnite has literally changed the course of the video game industry. Is it game of the year? I've said, we did that episode of the Gamescast where it was like, what are 10 out of 10s to you? And I said Fortnite, because I think Fortnite is as good at being Fortnite as it could be. Not, you know what I mean? Obviously, there's a million different interpretations of the 10 out of 10 and yada, yada, yada. But to sit here for PlayStation's greatest hits, for PlayStation Game of the Year, I'm going to fucking say Fortnite. I can't fucking do it.
I mean, it sounds like the answer is Nier Automata.
I'm throwing that word out of my... So now it's down to Horizon Zero Dawn and it's Persona 5. Everyone knows I have a long story history with Persona 5. I loved Persona 4 Golden, obviously. I loved Persona 5 for the 35 hours I played of it and then stopped playing it because I had to go play other things. I think... PlayStation. 10 episodes where we have the second talking about our PlayStation game. It's Horizon Zero Dawn. Okay. It's Horizon Zero Dawn, ladies and gentlemen. A game I would recommend to anyone. I wouldn't say, do you like JRPGs? I wouldn't say, do you like running around shooting people for 99 players? I would say Horizon Zero Dawn succeeds as an open world action RPG. I think it succeeds on a story. It succeeds as a visual showcase. It succeeds as graphics. It succeeds as a fucking goddamn grand slam for Guerrilla. A company that in the Sony first-party stable was overlooked by so many, and understandably so, in the way that, like, I don't care about first-person shooters, so I don't care about Killzone. Killzones all start to blur together at some point, so whatever. Naughty Dog's making amazing shit over here. I think you look at Horizon and you see PlayStation really solidifying what it means to be a PlayStation first-party. Where I think for the longest time, Naughty Dog ran ahead with that flag of PlayStation first party. And like, we are making Uncharted, we are making Last of Us, we are making single player narrative games that are fucking rad. And then you saw, Horizon run with that. You eventually see God of War run with that, right? Like, you see the face of what we think of as exclusive PlayStation game change. And I think Horizon's a big part of that. Not to mention Aloy's awesome, Ashley's awesome. Horizon Zero Dawn is the right answer. Get this Nier Automata bullshit out of here. Talking about your cute humans you love and robot people, all right?
They're cute robots and human people.
I'm a cute robot person.
It's a fantastic game. Everybody should play it.
I want to save trophies and chill. We're going to toss to the trophy question, right, that we have here. We're going to toss to the post show, Bless. Because that's where we'll keep our trophy talk today. And then we will do, of course, the PSN profile of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, you can, of course, write in to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames or kindoffunny.com/Patreon for a quicker way. You can ask us questions. You can get the show ad free. You can get the post show we do here. You can, of course, watch live just like Levistar, Demetrius Newell, the Naughty Biscotti, all are right now. But you can also submit your PSN profile for judgment so we can look through your games and see what is going on in your life. Today's comes from Alex. Alex writes in to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames just like you can. It says, hey, Greg and Bless. I'm submitting my PSN profile for review because Kind of Funny recently helped me get not one, but 2 platinum trophies. First, the pride of Long Island himself gave me my 50th platinum trophy as I locked down those A ranks in Twin Breakers. Then, a successful squad up that Greg read out for me led to 2 Kind of Funny heroes helping me get those last few multiplayer trophies in Doom Eternal for platinum number 51. Shuhei has truly shined his light upon me in these dark times. So we are looking at APW 5029. This is Alex's profile. Of course, we are using PSNprofiles.com, an amazing website you should subscribe to and log into and do all that. Now, the first thing that jumps out at me here, Bless, is Tom Clancy's The Division 2. 0 of 60 trophies. Are you fucking kidding me? Because he apparently...
That means he booted it up and was like, never mind.
Peace out. You put it in, Alex, and then you're like, you know what? No, I'm going to play a Metro 2033 Redux. And then you got 1 trophy there, and you said, you know what? No, I'm going to go play Metro Exodus. And you got 4 trophies there. You got to make up your goddamn mind, Alex. All right? Get in there and get it done. He was playing Dirt Rally for 2 seconds and jumped out of that. 55% in Crash Team Racing. All right. 45% in Amplitude.
A platinum trophy in Celeste, which I'm always impressed with because Celeste is no joke.
Oh, fuck. So yeah, Doom Eternal, Twin Breaker, and then Bloodroots. He got all 34. Bloodroots is no joke in terms of trophies there either.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because I love Blood Roots, but there was a couple in there. Now, granted, I haven't gone back to look at them, but there was some in there that were like win certain things. I'm scrolling through them now. Oh, finish any level in Act 2 in under 3.5 minutes. I was like, you know what? Here, get a score greater than 1 million. Granted, I played this pre-release and haven't seen trophy guides for it. Maybe now there is just do this and do that. And you're done, but whatever. Patapon remastered, 44%. Respectable. I'll take it. Now you got all these Uncharted started too. You got the Platinum in Uncharted Drake's Fortune remastered. It only took you 4 years and 3 months. But then you started Uncharted 2, you started Uncharted 3, Alex. You got to get back there. You've got 1 trophy in Monster Energy Supercross. You love to see it. God, 9 trophies in The Last of Us. What a terrible trophy list.
9 trophies in The Last of Us?
I hope Neil Druckmann just can't sleep at night. You know what I mean? He's like, man, did we screwed up in that. Platinum in Control. Platinum in Fallen Order. Very, very nice. Virginia Platinum. Love it. Ukulele and the Impossible Layer Platinum Trophy. Like that a lot, too. Okay. Tennis World Tour. 14 of 30 trophies. Interesting. 2064 read-only memories. 0 of 65. Another boot up and like, oh, fuck no. I'm out of here.
I get it though. I'd be doing that sometimes.
Oh, dude, no, you can look at my profile. Actually, I just did it. All right. Usually, I get like 1 or 2. Hold on, Alex. These are great. I like where your head's at. I like what you're doing. Yeah, I have a couple in here that are recent too. Yeah, Hyper Parasite I put in yesterday got 7%. I was like, I get it. Not what I want to play. I'm out. 4% in Arise, but I say I'll get back to Arise. Who the fuck knows if I ever will. The Complex 2 of 21 trophies, 6%. I was like, I was like, I still want to finish it. I look at it all the time on my PSN folder or my PS I Love You folder, and I'm just like, do I want to finish that story?
You should give Blind Men a shot. Like whether or not you actually want to experience the story.
I'm gonna give it all sorts of shots.
But yeah,
you just hook them into my veins. Don't worry about it. Alex got the Transistor Platinum. I like that. Spyro 2, Berlioz Men at Sea. I enjoyed that. Castlevania Requiem, Symphony of the Night, and Rondo of Blood. All right, Alex. Congratulations on 50 and 51. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been PS I Love You XOXO. Remember, each and every Tuesday, you can get the show, youtube.com/kindoffunnygames, podcast services around the globe. If you want to, you can go to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. You can kick us a few bucks, ask us questions, get the show ad-free, get it early. You can watch us record it live. You can watch it later there with no ads, like I already said. You can get it with the post show that we're about to do. You get it in a million different ways. Remember, you have even more homework now. You can go to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames. Answer our question for Best Friends Talk Back. What are the must-play JRPGs on PlayStation and why? If you have no bucks to toss our way in this trying time, I understand. I've already instructed Barrett to tweet from Kinda Funny Vids on Friday the question. You can get your answers in there as well. Blessing.
Let me know. Greg.
Let him know. It was fantastic doing the show with you as always. I think you're an asset to this company.
Thank you.
I think we should play more Fallout 76 maybe tonight. You know what
I
mean?
agree.
All right, good. Okay.
I don't know about tonight.
Okay, well then, fuck it. We'll never play it. You know what I mean? We should definitely play Predator on Friday and see if the servers work.
For sure.
Okay, good. We had a post show to do. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, it's been our pleasure to serve you.